Imagine living each day not chasing comfort, not trying to escape challenge, but walking straight into difficulty with strength, purpose, and calm. Imagine waking up knowing that your power doesn't come from what the world gives you, but from what you choose to become. But let's be honest, how many times have you chosen the easy path? How often have you looked for shortcuts, avoided discomfort, and let fear or laziness decide for you? The truth is simple. Comfort weakens you. Power is built in discomfort. Growth comes from pressure. And if you're always chasing what feels good, you'll never become what you're truly capable of being. Today, you're going to learn 12 powerful lessons from Stoicism, lessons that will help you stop chasing ease and start building strength. These are not vague ideas or empty quotes. These are practical, timeless principles that have shaped warriors, leaders, and thinkers for thousands of years. Now it's your turn, so get ready, because after this video, you'll never look at pain, struggle, or discomfort the same way again. But before we begin, make a promise to yourself. Write in the comments, "Starting today, I stop chasing comfort. I choose strength. I am stoic." This is more than a sentence. It's a declaration. Every time you write it, every time you say it, you're training your mind to lean into pressure instead of running from it. So write it now, and let's begin. Number 1. Comfort is a cognitive trap, not a reward. Let's be clear about something most people never realize. Comfort is not your friend. It feels good, yes. It feels safe. It feels easy. But that feeling is the trap. It's not neutral. It doesn't just sit there waiting for you. It pulls you in. It rewires your mind. It trains your brain to crave stillness, not strength. It makes you think that avoiding effort is the same as success. But it's not. It's just escape. Ask yourself, when was the last time you chose growth over comfort? When was the last time you pushed through resistance instead of running from it? Most people don't even notice that comfort is training them to fear the very things that would make them powerful. That fear becomes normal. It becomes automatic. And little by little, you stop growing. Not because you're not capable, but because your mind has been tricked into thinking safety is the goal. But here's what the Stoics knew, and what we've forgotten in today's world. Comfort dulls the edge of your spirit. Marcus Aurelius didn't say, "Seek what's easy." He said, "Ask yourself, is this necessary?" Every time you choose comfort over challenge, ask yourself, was that necessary? Did you need that extra hour in bed? Did you need to skip the hard conversation? Or did you just give in to the voice that told you growth could wait? That voice is a liar. And if you keep listening, it will take your potential from you one day at a time. It doesn't steal it all at once. It bleeds you slowly. One skipped workout, one ignored goal, one more night scrolling through your phone instead of reading something that could change your life. Comfort feels like a reward, but it's not. It's a trap your brain falls into because it confuses peace with progress. It thinks stillness is strength, but real peace doesn't come from escaping effort. It comes from knowing you are strong enough to face the effort and not back down. Think of your brain like a warrior. If you never put it into battle, it forgets how to fight. If you always protect it from stress, it stops learning how to deal with it. And when a real challenge comes, something you can't avoid, you panic, you freeze, you fold. That's what comfort does. It weakens your ability to respond with power. The Stoics didn't run from discomfort. They welcomed it. Not because they loved pain, but because they knew pain was the path. Seneca said it clearly. It is not that we are given a short life, but that we waste a lot of it. And where is most of that life wasted? In comfort, in mindless routines, in empty entertainment, in chasing temporary ease while ignoring lasting strength. So how do you fix it? You start by calling comfort what it is: an illusion. You stop pretending it's helping you. You stop treating it like a prize. And you begin doing the hard things, not because they're pleasant, but because they shape you. They train your mind to lean into resistance. They make you stronger in ways that matter. Here's something you can try starting today. For 1 hour every day, choose discomfort on purpose. Do the thing you've been avoiding. Take the cold shower. Make the difficult phone call. Go for the run, even if it's raining. Read the book that challenges your thinking. Sit alone with your thoughts instead of numbing them with noise. Don't do it for punishment. Do it for power. Each time you do something uncomfortable and survive, your brain changes. It stops seeing effort as danger. It starts linking challenge to growth. And that rewiring, that shift, is how you break the trap. You don't escape the grip of comfort by thinking your way out. You act your way out. The Stoics practiced this. They fasted even when they had food. They wore simple clothes even when they could afford luxury. They slept on hard ground to remind themselves they didn't need softness to survive. Why? Because they understood that power comes from practice, not from privilege. And practicing discomfort made them unshakable. Ask yourself this: when life hits me hard, will I be ready? Or will I be so used to ease that I break the first time things don't go my way? The answer depends on how you live now, not when the challenge comes. You can't train for the storm in the middle of it. You train now while things are calm. You build the muscle before the weight gets heavy. So stop chasing comfort. Stop lying to yourself about what it gives you. It's not peace. It's not strength. It's not freedom. It's the slow death of your potential. From today forward, every time you feel yourself reaching for what's easy, pause. Ask yourself, is this making me weaker or stronger? Is this helping me grow or holding me back? And if the answer is weakness, choose the other path. Remember this: comfort is not your reward for working hard. Strength is. So don't worship comfort. Use it as a signal. When you feel it pulling you in, see it for what it is, and walk the other way. Not because it's easy, but because you are here to build power, not pass time. You are not here to coast. You are here to become. Number 2. Building power requires tolerating psychological dissonance. If you want to build real power, not just look strong, but be strong, you need to get comfortable with an uncomfortable truth. You are not yet who you could be. You are not there yet. There's a gap between the version of you that exists right now and the version of you that you must become. And the space between those two realities is where the real battle takes place. That space is called dissonance. It's the uncomfortable tension you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror and see all the habits, fears, and excuses that hold you back. But at the same time, you carry a vision in your heart of the person you're meant to become. That vision is powerful, but it hurts. Because every time you see it, you're reminded that you're not there yet. Most people run from that feeling. They distract themselves. They numb it with entertainment, comfort, food, endless scrolling, or toxic positivity. Anything to avoid the pain of growth. But here's the truth. You will never become powerful until you learn to stand inside that tension, until you face the dissonance without flinching. This isn't just some motivational idea, it's a psychological fact. Growth creates friction. Power comes from pressure, and the mind, like the body, doesn't grow unless it's stressed. But that stress, the awareness of who you are now versus who you must become, can either destroy you or shape you. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" That question stings. Why? Because deep down, we know we've been delaying. We know we've been settling for less than what we're capable of. And that realization doesn't feel good, but it's necessary. That sting is the beginning of power. To grow, you must be honest, brutally honest, not just about your goals, but about your current reality, about your weaknesses, your distractions, your lies. You must be able to say, "I'm not there yet, but I will be, and I am willing to face what that journey will demand from me." That's what dissonance does. It shows you the price of transformation. And that price is never small. It demands sacrifice. It demands discipline. It demands that you let go of who you are today and that you don't cling to comfort while pretending to chase greatness. But here's the key. Don't run from the pain. Learn to sit with it. Let it sharpen you. Think of it like this. Inside a forge, metal doesn't become a sword by resting. It becomes a sword by enduring fire, pressure, and repeated blows. That's how your character is forged. In the fire of contradiction, in the pain of knowing that who you are isn't good enough yet. But instead of folding, you endure. You allow that inner conflict to fuel the transformation. Every time you feel the tension between your current self and your ideal self, that is a moment of clarity. Don't ignore it. Don't push it away. Listen to it. Let it push you forward. When you say, "I want to be disciplined, but your habits are lazy," that's dissonance. When you say, "I want to be strong, but your actions are weak," that's dissonance. And instead of hiding from that, face it. Say to yourself, "This hurts because I care. This stings because I know I'm meant for more." It's supposed to be uncomfortable. That's how you know it's real. Look at any powerful person you admire, an athlete, a philosopher, a leader, a builder. You'll find one thing in common. They didn't escape dissonance. They used it. They stood in that painful space between who they were and who they were becoming. And they didn't quit. They didn't lie to themselves. They used the tension as fuel. The Stoics were not perfect men. They were warriors of the mind. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, constantly reminded himself of how far he still had to go. He wrote, not to show off his wisdom, but to hold himself accountable. Every day he faced the gap between the ruler he was and the ruler he should be, and in that space he grew. So here's your challenge. Stop running from the dissonance. Stop pretending you're okay with being halfway to your potential. Stand in the gap. Let it burn. Let it wake you up. That pain you feel when you know you've fallen short. That's the beginning of power. Repeat this to yourself. I am not there yet, but I'm willing to do the work. I will not hide from the truth. I will hold the vision, even when it hurts. Because that's what separates the average from the powerful. The average avoid the pain. The powerful use it. You don't build strength in comfort. You build it in conflict. You don't find clarity by hiding. You find it by facing yourself. So don't fear the gap between who you are and who you must become. Live in it. Train in it. Grow in it. That's where your power begins. Number 3. Comfort breeds emotional fragility. Let's face it, life is hard. Sooner or later, pain comes. Disappointment knocks. Stress shows up. People betray you. Plans fall apart. You get sick. You lose something or someone. That's not pessimism. That's reality. The Stoics didn't fear this truth. They accepted it. They welcomed it, because they knew something most people today have forgotten. If you live your life trying to avoid hardship, you will never be strong enough to handle it when it arrives. Comfort feels good now, but it weakens you over time, and the cost is your emotional resilience. It trains you to be soft. It teaches you to avoid, not endure. And when pain finally shows up, and it always does, you don't just suffer from the problem. You suffer because you were never prepared to handle it. That's what comfort does. It erodes your emotional muscle. Slowly, quietly. It makes you fragile. The kind of fragile that breaks easily under pressure, like glass. The kind of fragile that gets overwhelmed by small things. That can't recover from setbacks. That spirals when something unexpected happens. Not because life is too hard, but because you were trained by comfort to expect it to be easy. And that's a dangerous way to live. The Stoics had a word for the mindset we need instead. They didn't just want resilience. They wanted anti-fragility. That's not just the ability to survive pressure. It's the ability to grow stronger because of it. To take the shock, the stress, the hit, and not just come out okay, but come out better. Ask yourself this. When things go wrong, do you break? Or do you build? Your answer depends on how you've been training. If you've built a life around avoiding pain, minimizing discomfort, and always chasing ease, then stress becomes a threat. But if you've trained yourself to endure, to stretch, to face the hard moments head-on, then stress becomes a teacher. You don't become emotionally powerful by escaping difficulty. You become powerful by moving through it. Think about your emotions like a muscle. If you never let that muscle be tested, if you always protect it, avoid stretching it, avoid putting weight on it, it gets weaker, not stronger. So when life finally demands something of you, you won't have the strength to lift it. Now look at people today. How many are overwhelmed by the smallest discomfort? How many panic when plans don't go perfectly? How many lash out when someone disagrees with them? How many shut down when they don't get immediate results or approval? That's not because life is harder than it used to be. It's because we've built lives where emotional ease is the default. And when ease becomes your baseline, challenge becomes unbearable. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can train yourself to become emotionally anti-fragile. You can condition your mind to see hardship not as a crisis, but as fuel. You do it by stepping into stress, not away from it. You do it by welcoming small discomforts daily so that big ones don't destroy you when they come. You start by doing what's hard when it's still optional. Wake up early. Exercise when you don't feel like it. Have the uncomfortable conversation. Say no when it would be easier to say yes. Sit in silence with your thoughts instead of running from them. Each time you do that, you're building emotional armor. Not to block your feelings, but to hold them with strength, to stay steady in the storm, to stay calm when everyone else is losing their grip. That's real power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the goal, not to control the world, but to control your response, not to avoid chaos, but to be calm inside of it. Here's the truth. Emotional strength isn't about pretending you're not affected. It's about choosing how you respond when you are. And you only gain that choice through training, through facing discomfort on purpose, through turning stress into strength. Every day gives you chances to train. You can choose to stay comfortable, or you can choose to grow. You can take the easy route, or you can take the one that builds power. The Stoics didn't pray for an easy life. They trained for a hard one. That's what made them unshakable. That's what made them leaders, warriors, thinkers, and guides. And that same strength is available to you if you're willing to pay the price. So the next time you feel something hard, an emotion, a setback, a stressful moment, don't run. Don't complain. Don't numb it. Feel it fully. Hold it without panic. And remind yourself, this is my training. This is where power is built, not in ease, not in safety, in discomfort, in resilience, in growth. Emotional fragility is the cost of a life lived too softly, but emotional power, that's the reward for a life lived with courage. Choose the harder path and become unbreakable. Number 4. Comfort encourages false identity construction. Who are you really? That's not a small question. It's the question. But be honest. How much of who you believe you are is based on what you prefer rather than what life demands? You see, comfort gives you the space to invent stories about yourself. You say, I'm just not a morning person. I don't do confrontation. I'm more creative than disciplined. I'm just being authentic. But look closer. Are those traits part of your true nature, or are they identities shaped by ease, fear, and avoidance? The truth is this: when life is too easy, it lets you build an identity that serves comfort, not power. You start to choose who you are based on what feels good, not what's necessary. You shape your personality around convenience instead of challenge. But here's the problem. The self-built-in comfort is often a lie. Comfort lets you become a character. Power forces you to become a person. Think about it. When everything is smooth, you don't need to confront your limits. You don't have to take responsibility. You don't have to adapt. You can just float. You can tell yourself you're fine. You can live in the fantasy of who you think you are. But all it takes is one real challenge to expose it. And when that day comes, when life demands something more from you, your false identity cracks. Because it was built on preference, not necessity. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't ask, who do I feel like being today? They asked, what does this moment require of me? That's the real question. That's how power is built. Identity should be shaped by function, by duty, by result, not by taste. You say you're a leader. Good. Then lead when it's hard, not when it's popular. You say you're disciplined. Show me your routines, not your intentions. You say you're stoic. Let's see how you act when you're under pressure, not how you talk when you're calm. Comfort lets you adopt labels, but power demands you prove them. This is the real difference between false identity and earned identity. One is performed, the other is forged. Forged in repetition, in hardship, in sacrifice, in doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. The identity you build through power isn't always glamorous. It doesn't always match the version of yourself you had in mind. It's often quiet, functional, focused, but it's real. It stands up under pressure. It lasts when comfort fades. It shows up when nobody's watching, and it doesn't need applause. So how do you know if you're living from a false identity? Simple. Ask yourself, do I only act when I feel like it? Do I adjust my behavior to be accepted instead of to grow? Do I avoid hard tasks and justify it with personality? Do I talk about change more than I practice it? If the answer is yes to any of those, you're living in a mask. A version of yourself shaped by comfort, not by commitment. But there's a way out. There's always a way out. You stop asking, who do I want to be? And you start asking, what needs to be done? You stop curating your personality for others and you start building your character through your actions. This is what the Stoics did. Marcus Aurelius didn't want to be emperor, but he rose to it. Epictetus didn't choose to be a slave, but he became one of the greatest teachers of resilience the world has ever known. They didn't chase identity, they earned it. That's what you must do. Let go of the fantasy, let go of the image, and get serious about function. You want to be respected? Then become reliable. You want to be powerful? Then become responsible. You want to be wise? Then become disciplined in your thinking. Not once, not sometimes, but consistently, over time. That's how identity is forged. Power doesn't care what you call yourself. It only responds to results. So the next time you find yourself clinging to a label, pause. Ask yourself, is this identity helping me serve my purpose, or is it helping me stay comfortable? If it's just comfort, let it go. You were not born to be a slogan. You were not born to be a curated version of yourself. You were born to build yourself through action. So strip away the false layers, burn off the fluff, get to work. Your identity should be the result of your discipline, not the excuse for avoiding it. Remember this: comfort lets you pretend, but power proves who you really are. Number 5. Power is found in voluntary discomfort. If you only grow when life forces you to, you're already behind. Real power doesn't wait for pain to arrive. It doesn't hide, hoping the world will be kind. It steps into hardship on purpose. It trains under stress by choice. It chooses the fire before the fire chooses it, because discomfort is coming, sooner or later. The question is, will it find you weak, or will it find you prepared? Comfort lies to you. It says you're okay as you are. It tells you that rest is reward enough. It makes you believe that ease is a lifestyle you can sustain forever. But comfort rots the edges of your strength. It convinces you that you're growing when you're actually standing still. And then, when real adversity shows up, you break. Not because life is too hard, but because you've been living too soft. The Stoics didn't live that way. They trained for discomfort. They practiced it. They welcomed it. They fasted when food was available. They slept without luxury, even when they had wealth. They told themselves the truth, even when it stung. And they faced daily life with the mindset of a warrior, not because they wanted to suffer, but because they knew power must be forged, not gifted, not imagined, forged. Seneca once wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" That is a mindset shift most people never make. To look discomfort in the eye and say, "You don't scare me, I chose this." Voluntary hardship is not about proving something to others. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about breaking your dependence on ease and learning to lead your mind through pressure. It's about sharpening the edges of your will. The body gets stronger under resistance. The same is true of your spirit. Each time you wake up earlier than you want, each time you push through physical strain, each time you sit with emotional discomfort instead of running from it, you grow. Each moment of voluntary challenge stretches the limits of who you are. You begin to expand. Your capacity increases. You stop being ruled by your cravings and start being ruled by your principles. You begin to learn that the hardest part of doing something difficult is usually just starting. Once you begin, momentum builds, confidence builds, and most importantly, trust builds. The kind of trust you can only earn with yourself. Not the shallow kind that comes from a perfect plan or a burst of motivation. The deep kind. The kind that says, I do what needs to be done, whether I feel like it or not. And that kind of trust is power. Because when discomfort hits you by surprise, when life turns cold or empty or overwhelming, you'll already have the muscle memory. You'll already know how to breathe through stress. You'll already know how to suffer with intention instead of panic without direction. Most people only know how to survive difficulty, but you can learn how to use it, to grow stronger because of it. That is the power of voluntary discomfort. It trains your mind to stop asking, do I like this? And start asking, is this helping me grow? There is no growth in comfort. None. You can coast there. You can maintain there, but you cannot evolve. The version of you that has discipline, clarity, resilience, that version only lives on the other side of challenge. It doesn't show up by accident. It has to be carved out by choice. So instead of waiting for adversity to teach you a lesson, step into challenge by design. You don't need to live in agony, but you do need to feel the edge of discomfort often enough to stay sharp. Train your body with effort. Train your mind with silence. Train your emotions with honesty. Train your will with action. And each time you do, you remind yourself, power is not something you borrow from your surroundings. It's something you build from the inside. Voluntary discomfort is the furnace where that power takes shape. So embrace the early mornings. Welcome the silence. Say what needs to be said. Finish what you start. Take the long route. Feel the hunger, the cold, the sting of effort. Let it change you. Because when life tests you, and it will, you won't be fragile, surprised, or unprepared. You'll be trained, you'll be ready, and you'll have built something that can't be shaken by circumstance. This is what it means to choose discomfort. This is how you internalize strength, not for applause, not for praise, but because you understand what few people do. That power is not found in comfort. It's built in resistance, and it begins the moment you stop running from what's hard and start walking toward it. Number 6. Comfort creates echo chambers of weakness. If you're always the strongest in the room, you're in the wrong room. It's a hard truth, but an important one. Comfort doesn't just come from soft couches or easy routines. It comes from the people around you, the voices you choose to hear. And when those voices always tell you you're doing enough, when they never challenge you, when they validate your excuses, when they flatter your laziness, that's not a support system. That's a trap. Comfort creates echo chambers, and echo chambers kill growth. It's easy to surround yourself with people who never push back, people who are just like you, who think like you, speak like you, act like you. People who don't force you to level up because they're not leveling up themselves. And at first, it feels good. You feel accepted. You feel safe. You feel like you belong. But be careful. That safety has a cost. When the people around you only reinforce your current habits, your current mindset, your current pace, you stop evolving. You stop questioning. You stop pushing. You stop learning. And before you know it, you're stuck. Not because you lack potential, but because no one is challenging you to unlock it. That's what comfort does. It builds walls around you. Soft walls, quiet walls, friendly walls, but walls nonetheless. And behind them, growth withers. The Stoics didn't seek out comfort. They didn't surround themselves with yes men. They surrounded themselves with truth, with pressure, with challenge. Marcus Aurelius had teachers, philosophers, and generals who weren't afraid to correct him. He wanted to be challenged because he understood that growth comes from friction, not from flattery. If you want to build real power, you have to seek environments that humble you. You have to walk into rooms where you are not the best, not the smartest, not the fastest, not the strongest, where you are exposed, where your flaws show, where your pride burns a little. That's where growth lives. Because when you're surrounded by people who are ahead of you in some way, whether it's their discipline, their mindset, their skills, you don't stay comfortable. You stretch, you adapt, you improve. But that only happens when you're willing to leave the comfort of praise and enter the discomfort of pressure. Ask yourself this: do you choose your circle based on comfort or growth? Do you spend your time with people who inspire you to rise, or people who make it easy to coast? Are you willing to be the least impressive person in the room if it means becoming better? Too many people spend their lives building social circles that protect their ego. They don't want to feel small, so they surround themselves with smaller thinkers. They don't want to be held accountable, so they choose people who normalize their mediocrity, and then they wonder why they feel stuck, unmotivated, uninspired. It's simple. Growth demands exposure. Power demands pressure. If everyone around you is comfortable, then no one is growing, including you. But when you deliberately enter rooms where you're outmatched, when you listen more than you talk, when you observe more than you boast, when you feel the sting of inadequacy, that sting becomes fuel. It wakes you up. It shows you the gap between who you are and who you could be, and it dares you to close it. That's what powerful people do. They don't avoid the challenge. They move toward it. They don't fear being the weakest in the room. They seek it, because they know that being the weakest today is the first step to becoming the strongest tomorrow. And when you start doing that, when you willingly step into places that make you uncomfortable, when you seek mentorship, when you train with people better than you, when you open yourself to critique instead of praise, you become dangerous. Not dangerous to others, dangerous to your old self. Because the version of you that clings to comfort cannot survive that kind of pressure. It will break apart, and something stronger will be built in its place. That's how power works. It's not created in silence. It's not created in rooms where everyone agrees with you. It's created in places where your weaknesses are visible, where your ego gets tested, where your skills are sharpened by being outclassed, and your mindset hardened by refusing to quit. So, look at your environment. Look at your circle. Look at the people you listen to most. Do they challenge you or comfort you? Do they push you or pacify you? Are they calling you forward or holding you back? Because if your environment is too safe, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're getting weaker. So get out of the echo chamber. Walk into the storm. Find people who are ahead of you. Learn from them. Train with them. Let their strength reveal your weakness, not to shame you, but to sharpen you. That's how you build real power. One uncomfortable room at a time. Number 7. Comfort seeks to escape time. Power controls it. What do you do when you're bored? When you're tired? When you don't feel like being present? If you're like most people, you distract yourself, you scroll, you binge, you wander, you check out mentally and emotionally, because comfort doesn't want to face time. It wants to escape it. It wants to blur the edges, soften the minutes, make the day pass without too much pressure or thought. That's the trap. Comfort treats time like something to be killed. Power treats time like something to be used. Look around. Most people are drowning in comfort, and one of the first casualties is their awareness of time. Hours disappear in distraction. Days blend together in routine. Weeks pass with nothing built, nothing sharpened, nothing moved forward. And still they say, "I'm just tired. I needed to relax." Relaxation isn't the enemy, but unconsciousness is. Escaping time is not rest, it's erosion. You lose more than minutes when you waste time. You lose focus, urgency, direction. You start to live like life will just keep handing you more chances. Like there's always next week, next year, someday. But someday is not a strategy. It's a slow death. The Stoics knew this. They were obsessed with time, not because they feared it, but because they respected it. Seneca said, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Why? Because time is the only resource you can't get back. You can lose money, recover. You can lose energy, sleep, but lose time, and it's gone. Forever. Powerful people understand this. Builders of strength, discipline, and legacy, they don't drift through the hours. They don't ask, "How can I pass time?" They ask, "How can I use it to move forward?" That difference in mindset is everything. Comfort loves timelessness. It loves entertainment that never ends, conversations that go nowhere, plans with no deadlines. It wants you to float. But power demands structure. Power demands presence. Power demands that you look at the next 10 minutes and ask, "What will this cost me if I waste it?" And it's not about being busy. That's another trap. Filling your calendar doesn't mean you're in control. Being frantic, overworked, constantly stimulated, that's just chaos in disguise. True control over time means clarity, precision, intention. You know what matters and when it needs to happen. You don't let the clock rule you, but you don't disrespect it either. You master time by mastering yourself. Start here. Stop treating time like an endless supply. Start seeing each day as a deposit, non-refillable. You get 24 hours. Some of it must go to sleep, some to eating, recovery, stillness. But the rest, that's your power window. That's your training ground. That's your fire. If you waste that time, you're not just being lazy. You're delaying your evolution. You're postponing your potential. You're giving away your most valuable asset in exchange for nothing. But if you own that time, if you treat it like a weapon, then each hour becomes a tool. A tool to build the discipline you need. A tool to attack your goals. A tool to reflect, to think, to sharpen. Every minute you claim intentionally adds weight to your will. So ask yourself, what are you doing with your time? Not what are you planning? What are you actually doing? When you wake up, do you know where your first hour is going? Or do you give it away to your phone, to the noise, to the habits that steal your edge? When you hit resistance, do you use time to push through, or do you use it to escape? Let me just relax for a second becomes 20 minutes, then an hour, then the day is gone. And it's always gone faster than you think. You don't get time back, but you can take control of what's left. The difference between the powerful and the passive is not talent. It's not intelligence. It's how they use their hours. One person wastes time to protect comfort. The other uses time to forge power. Every moment you face is a fork in the road. Drift or decide. Escape or build. Delay or act. So don't just be mindful of your time. Be militant. Audit your day. Watch the moments that slip away and ask, did I own that time, or did comfort steal it from me? Remember this, time doesn't care what you say. It responds to what you do. And once it's gone, it doesn't come back. So take hold of the hours, turn them into action, turn them into strength. Don't kill time, weaponize it. Number 8. Power emerges through relational risk. You cannot become powerful if you're afraid of being disliked. Let that settle in. Comfort tells you to keep the peace, to avoid confrontation, to stay agreeable. It tells you it's not worth the argument, don't stir the pot, or just let it go. And sometimes, yes, peace matters. But not when the cost is your integrity, not when the price is your voice, not when avoiding conflict means shrinking who you are. Comfort makes you passive. Power makes you truthful. And the truth is rarely easy. It doesn't always land softly. It doesn't always get applause. It doesn't always protect your image. But if you want to grow, if you want to build a life based on reality, not on performance, you will have to risk tension in your relationships. You will have to say things that might make people uncomfortable. You will have to draw lines that others will not like. You will have to walk away from certain situations. You will have to challenge behavior, question loyalty, and confront dishonesty, even when silence would be easier. And yes, people may not like it, but power does not grow in relationships built on silence and pretending. It grows when you choose honesty over harmony, responsibility over approval, principle over popularity. The Stoics understood this. They didn't seek arguments, but they didn't fear them either. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's the standard. Not, will people accept it, but, is it true? Is it right? Because here's the hard truth. If you're constantly adjusting your truth to protect your relationships, you're not building connection. You're building a lie. And eventually, that lie will cost you more than the discomfort of a hard conversation. Real power shows up when you choose to speak, even when your voice shakes. When you tell the truth, not because it's convenient, but because it's required. When you hold the line on your standards, even if it means standing alone. That kind of strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from taking relational risks. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to be honest when nothing is at stake? But what about when your honesty might upset someone you care about? What about when it might end a relationship, disappoint a friend, or create distance? That's the test. Will you trade truth for approval? Or will you speak what's necessary, even if it means things change? Most people fold, not because they're evil or weak, but because they've been trained by comfort to avoid tension at all costs. They think peace means no conflict, when in reality, peace means no lies. It's easy to get trapped in relational comfort, laughing when you want to confront, agreeing when you want to challenge, staying silent when you want to speak. But every time you do that, you lose a little power. You hand it over. You let the desire to be liked outweigh the need to be honest. And over time, you become invisible, not just to others, but to yourself. But there is another way. You can start choosing discomfort. You can tell the truth, even when it shakes the room. You can set boundaries that protect your energy and your purpose. You can say, "This is not okay," and mean it. You can risk being misunderstood if it means being real. And you don't have to do it with anger. You don't need to shout. You don't need to fight. Stoic strength is quiet, but it is unmovable. When you speak from principle, not pride, people may resist you, but they will also respect you. Some won't. That's okay. Power means knowing that not everyone can walk the path with you. Some people will fall away when you stop performing, when you stop appeasing, when you stop compromising on what matters. But what remains, what survives the tension, will be real. And you will be real. No more masks, no more filters, no more shrinking. So ask yourself, Where are you avoiding truth to keep others comfortable? Where are you staying small so someone else can stay undisturbed? Where are you holding back your voice because you're afraid to be disliked? Whatever your answer is, that's where your power is waiting. Go there, speak there, act there. Not to be cruel, not to dominate, but to align, to lead, to live with integrity. Relational risk is not about destroying peace. It's about building it the right way, on truth, not on illusion. So take the risk, tell the truth, hold the line, let go of comfort, let go of needing to be liked, and step into the kind of strength that only comes when you stop hiding who you are. Because power doesn't bloom in safe conversations, it blooms in truth, spoken boldly, lived consistently, even when it costs you comfort. Number 9. Comfort is an illusion of security. Power is actual leverage. Let's talk about what most people call security. A stable job, a steady paycheck, a quiet routine, a schedule that never changes, a life that feels manageable, predictable, controlled. On paper, it looks like peace, it looks like success. But look again, look closely, and what you'll find is not security. You'll find comfort, and comfort is not the same thing as safety. It feels like protection, but it's often just a distraction. Most comforts are illusions, traps dressed up as structure. They tell you you're safe, you're secure, you don't need to change, just keep things the way they are. But life does not care about your comfort. Life breaks systems. It ends routines. It pulls the rug out from under you when you least expect it. And when it does, comfort is the first thing to go. What's left is what matters. Your power, your leverage, your ability to adapt when things fall apart. Because real safety isn't found in what surrounds you, it's found in what you've built within you. Comfort is external. Power is internal. One can be taken from you, the other cannot. People say they want security, but what most of them really want is certainty. They want to know what tomorrow looks like. They want guarantees. But guarantees are a lie. There is no fixed path. No job is truly stable. No structure is truly permanent. Systems crash. Economies change. People leave. Technology evolves. The future rewrites itself every day. If your strength depends on everything staying the same, then you have no strength. Comfort keeps you dependent. It teaches you to rely on the system, on the schedule, on the structure. But power makes you independent. It trains you to move with the changes, to pivot when others freeze, to stay calm when the rules no longer apply. That's leverage. Leverage is not luck. It's not privilege. It's preparation. It's owning your skills, your discipline, your clarity, your adaptability. It's being valuable no matter where you are or what happens. It's having options because you've built yourself to create opportunities, not wait for them. The Stoics lived this truth. Marcus Aurelius ruled during war, disease, betrayal, and uncertainty. His empire was in constant motion, and yet he remained steady. Why? Because his identity wasn't rooted in his title or the empire's peace. It was rooted in his training, his philosophy, his inner framework. That's real power. And you don't need to be an emperor to build it. You just need to stop placing your sense of security in things you don't control. You don't control the market. You don't control your company. You don't control other people. But you do control how you respond, how you prepare, how you build. You can wake up every day and ask, am I becoming stronger or more dependent? You can look at your life and say, If this all collapsed, would I still be able to stand? That's not fear, that's clarity. And clarity is what kills the illusion of comfort. Look at your routines, look at your job, look at your habits. Are they making you more adaptable or more reliant? Are they building skills or just filling time? Are they strengthening your mind or keeping it numb? Real security is knowing that no matter what breaks, you won't. You don't panic when your job disappears because you've built skills that transfer. You don't fall apart when life shifts because your mindset isn't tied to control, it's tied to growth. You don't cling to the system because you've trained yourself to survive outside of it. That's leverage. That's power. And it comes from rejecting the illusion that comfort is enough. Because comfort is a borrowed peace. It can be taken at any time. But power is something you own. It's built in discomfort, in adaptation, in preparation. It's built when you say, I will not depend on ease. I will become strong enough to stand when ease disappears. So take a hard look at what you're holding on to. Are you clinging to comfort because it feels safe? Or are you building power because you know safety is never guaranteed? The Stoics didn't fear the collapse of structures. They trained for it. So should you. Don't chase illusions. Don't trust comfort to protect you. Build leverage. Build skill. Build self-command. Because when the world shifts, and it always does, comfort won't save you. But power will. Number 10. Power comes from identity anchored in process, not outcome. Everyone wants results. Everyone wants the transformation, the recognition, the visible proof that the work is paying off. And there's nothing wrong with wanting results. But here's the problem. Comfort teaches you to worship them, to make results your reason, to chase dopamine instead of discipline. Comfort says, I'll keep going if it's working. Power says, I'll keep going because it's the right path. Comfort attaches your identity to outcomes. It makes you think that success only matters if it can be seen, measured, posted, or praised. So you work hard for a week, and if you don't see progress, you doubt the process. You start asking, is this even worth it? And when the dopamine fades, so does your effort. But that's not power. That's addiction to validation. That's discipline with conditions. Real power comes from identity that is anchored in the process, not the result. It comes from waking up each day and doing what needs to be done, even when no one's watching, even when it doesn't feel good, even when the results aren't visible. It comes from the ability to stick to the work, not because you're seeing immediate change, but because this is who you've decided to be. That's what separates the powerful from the passive. Comfort needs motivation. Power builds momentum. And that momentum comes from commitment. From saying, I am the kind of person who does the work, whether I feel like it or not. Not because someone told you to, not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because the process itself is where identity is formed. The Stoics lived by this. They were not obsessed with victory. They were obsessed with virtue, with showing up, with choosing excellence for its own sake. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations for applause. He wrote them to keep himself on course. He trained his mind to hold fast, not because it produced quick results, but because it was the right thing to do. That's the shift you must make. Stop asking, what will I get? Start asking, who am I becoming? Because when your identity is tied to outcomes, you're always at the mercy of what you can't control: external approval, timing, circumstance, luck. But when your identity is tied to the process, you are free, you are grounded, you are consistent. The runner who shows up in the rain is not chasing weather. He's building identity. The writer who writes without inspiration is not chasing perfection. She's building discipline. The person who trains when no one's watching is not chasing attention. They're choosing mastery. This is where power lives, not in the dopamine hit of quick wins, but in the quiet decision to stay the course when no reward is in sight. You'll face days when your progress feels invisible. You'll doubt. You'll get impatient. You'll wonder if it's working. That's where most people quit. Not because they weren't capable, but because they were addicted to instant validation, because they needed the world to tell them they were on the right path. But the Stoic path says, you don't need proof today, just commitment. You don't need applause, just alignment. If the process is right, the result will take care of itself. And even if it doesn't look like you imagined, you'll still have built something greater, unshakable consistency, self-trust, character. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't ask how far you are from the goal. Ask, did I show up today? Did I give my full effort? Did I keep the promise to myself? If you did that, you're winning. Because every time you choose the process over the outcome, you strengthen the foundation. And when storms come, and they will, that foundation will not crack. Discipline without dopamine. That's where transformation begins. That's where most people stop, and where you keep going. Comfort says, I need a reason to keep going. Power says, I am the reason. So build the habit, protect the process, trust the path. Not every step will be exciting. Not every day will look like progress. But if you stay rooted in the work, in the intention, in the practice, you will become someone the old version of you would never recognize. And it won't be because the world finally noticed. It will be because you kept going when no one did. That's the difference between the comfort seeker and the power builder. One waits to feel ready. The other acts from who they've chosen to become. Be the second. Choose the process. Trust your identity to be shaped in the doing, not just the results. Number 11. Comfort dulls the intellect. Power requires mental heat. Let's talk about the mind, not just how it works, but how it grows. The mind is like a blade. If it isn't sharpened, it dulls. If it isn't challenged, it softens. And if it's constantly protected by comfort, fed only simple answers, obvious choices, surface-level thinking, it begins to atrophy. Not because it's broken, but because it's bored. Comfort avoids complexity. It hates ambiguity. It wants certainty, clarity, ease. It says, just give me the headline, give me the steps, tell me what to do. And over time, this comfort becomes a cage. You stop asking deep questions. You stop thinking beyond what's immediately useful. You stop wrestling with anything that doesn't give you an instant payoff. And then you wonder why you feel lost, confused, fragile. It's not because you're incapable, it's because your mind is starving. You've been feeding it comfort, not heat. Power comes from mental rigor, from choosing to think hard thoughts, from sitting with questions that don't have easy answers, from leaning into paradoxes, into tension, into ideas that stretch your understanding and challenge your assumptions. That's where the mental fire lives, and that fire is what sharpens the intellect. The Stoics didn't avoid complexity. They didn't run from hard ideas. They sat with them, wrestled with them, journals filled with questions, contradictions, arguments. Marcus Aurelius wrote not because he had answers, but because he was seeking truth, because he knew that to lead with clarity, he first had to think with discipline. But discipline is not just about behavior, it's about thought. A powerful mind is not one that knows everything. It's one that seeks to understand, even when the truth is difficult, painful, or incomplete. Comfort says, "This is too much. I don't need to think about this." Power says, "This is uncomfortable, but necessary. Let's go deeper." We live in a world that sells easy answers, headlines, hacks, bite-sized opinions. But wisdom demands more. It demands you read slowly, think deeply, question constantly, and most importantly, it demands that you sit in the heat of uncertainty without flinching. Can you hold two conflicting ideas at the same time? Can you read something that challenges your beliefs and not reject it out of pride? Can you admit you were wrong, not just to others, but to yourself? These are not academic skills. These are power skills. They build a mind that doesn't break under pressure, a mind that can lead, decide, teach, build. And you can't develop them in comfort. Comfort gives you confirmation bias. It surrounds you with people who think like you, talk like you, vote like you, believe what you believe. And slowly your mind closes. Not because you're not intelligent, but because you've stopped allowing yourself to be tested. Power grows in the testing, so seek the heat. Read books that frustrate you. Have conversations that challenge you. Learn things you're not good at. Be a beginner again. Make yourself uncomfortable on purpose, not to prove something, but to become something. Let your mind sweat. Let it strain. Let it wrestle with the weight of complexity. Because when you train your mind in this way, when you embrace difficult thinking, you prepare yourself to make better decisions, to lead under pressure, to stay calm in chaos, to respond with clarity when everyone else is lost in noise. This is mental strength, and it is not inherited, it is forged. Forged in the fire of disciplined thought. Forged by facing the uncomfortable, by reading past the headlines, by digging beyond the surface, by asking not what feels right, but what is right. The Stoics practiced this every day. They meditated on death, on suffering, on the limits of their control. They didn't avoid the hard truths of life. They walked directly into them. Because they understood, only through confronting the difficult can we build minds that are clear, calm, and capable. So if your thinking feels foggy, if your mind feels slow or uncertain, don't escape to ease. Don't run to distraction. Find the heat. Turn your attention toward what makes you uncomfortable and stay there. Let your mind be tested. Let it burn. Let it sharpen. Because comfort may keep your mind still, but only pressure can make it powerful. Number 12. Power is the byproduct of self-dismantling. There comes a point in every journey towards strength when discipline is no longer just about habits, when structure, effort, and consistency alone are not enough. You've trained, you've pushed, you've sacrificed. But if you want to go further, if you want to become unshakable, you have to face something deeper. You have to face yourself, not the self you show the world, not the one you've curated through comfort, routine, and identity. The deeper self, the one built on stories, ego, and fear. The version of you that is still clinging, quietly, desperately, to the need for comfort, validation, and control. That version has to go. Real power, the kind that isn't borrowed, faked, or performative, only comes after you dismantle the self that craves comfort. After you break the attachments that keep you soft. After you confront the false identities that once made you feel safe. This is not easy. In fact, it's the hardest part. Because dismantling yourself means letting go of everything you've used to define who you are. the titles, the opinions, the personality traits you've clung to for years. You have to burn them down, not out of self-hatred, but out of commitment to transformation. You cannot become something greater while still protecting who you've been. Comfort wants you to keep that old self alive. It whispers, "This is who you are. This is what people like about you. Don't change too much. Don't make them uncomfortable. Don't make yourself uncomfortable." But that voice is fear in disguise. And if you listen to it, you stay stuck in cycles of almost growth, always circling, never breaking through. Power doesn't come from feeding the ego, it comes from killing it. This doesn't mean you lose your humanity. It means you lose the need to be seen a certain way. You no longer crave praise. You no longer fear being misunderstood. You no longer shape your identity around being comfortable, liked, accepted. Instead, you shape it around purpose, around truth, around becoming. And becoming someone new requires destroying what no longer serves. You must burn the part of you that needs external validation to feel worthy. You must challenge the part of you that wants to be the smartest, the most admired, the most correct. You must let go of the image, the story, the narrative that says, "This is just who I am." Because who you are is fluid, moldable, sharpenable, and until you detach from the ego, you'll always be protecting a version of yourself that's too small for your future. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily reminders to himself, not to inflate his status, but to strip it down. He told himself he was mortal, that titles meant nothing, that applause faded, that truth mattered more than appearance. This was an emperor, not obsessed with image, but obsessed with truth. Why? Because he knew that power rooted in ego is unstable, but power rooted in clarity, in the dismantled, humbled, sharpened self, is eternal. So here's the final challenge. Look in the mirror and ask, what part of me still clings to comfort? What identity am I protecting that no longer serves my mission? What part of me must die so the next version of me can rise? Don't answer quickly. Sit with it. Let the answer come slowly. It might be painful. It might sting. But that sting is the beginning of real strength. This isn't about perfection. It's about purification. Because once you dismantle the self that fears change, what's left is pure will, pure focus, pure power. A version of you that no longer seeks approval, no longer needs reassurance, and no longer flinches in the face of growth. And that version becomes dangerous, not to others, but to weakness, to mediocrity, to the lies comfort tries to sell. So let the old self burn. Let the false identities fall away. Let the ego crack piece by piece under the pressure of your higher calling. Because on the other side of that dismantling is a kind of freedom most people never taste. It is the freedom to be forged again, this time not by chance, not by upbringing, not by comfort, but by choice. And from that choice comes a self that is disciplined, grounded, and unbreakably focused. A self that does not seek comfort. A self that builds power. A self that leads from within. That is who you must become. And the path begins not with what you gain, but with what you're willing to let go. You've just been handed 12 tools, not tips, not tricks. Tools forged in the fires of ancient Stoicism, built for one reason, to break your addiction to comfort and awaken the power inside you. You now know the truth. Comfort is not your friend. It dulls your mind. It softens your body. It kills your growth. Power, on the other hand, is earned through discipline, through discomfort, through honesty, through facing who you are and deciding who you're willing to become. Get up early, say what needs to be said, enter the hard rooms, break your routines, risk disapproval, burn the version of yourself that hides behind convenience, because comfort won't save you, but power will. Now, here's your challenge. In the comments, write, "I choose discomfort. I build power. I am stoic." Don't just type it. Mean it. Let it be your new contract with yourself. Let the world know you're not here to coast. You're here to forge something greater. And if this message lit a fire inside you, subscribe to the channel. Because this isn't motivation. It's a movement. And you just stepped into it. Have you ever been ghosted? You thought everything was going great, but suddenly she disappears without a trace, leaving you hanging and wondering what went wrong. Or maybe she's acting hot and cold. One day she's all over you. The next, complete radio silence. It's maddening, isn't it? Let me be brutally honest with you. Women are playing games. And if you don't recognize these games and know how to handle them, you'll find yourself stuck in an endless cycle of frustration, confusion, and heartbreak. But here's the catch. It's not your fault that these games exist, but it is your responsibility to outsmart them. Today, I'm going to share with you 10 foolproof strategies to outsmart any woman playing games with your heart. And no, I'm not talking about manipulation. I'm talking about mastering yourself through Stoicism. You will learn to become the calm in the storm, the unshakable man who can't be controlled by anyone. So buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride that will change the way you handle relationships for good. Before we dive into these strategies, let's get one thing clear. Why do women play these games in the first place? Why do they ghost you, breadcrumb you, or keep you in emotional limbo? The truth is, women use these games as a way to test your emotional strength. They want to see if they can control you, manipulate you, and make you question your own worth. If they succeed in doing so, you're done. They'll lose respect for you, and you'll find yourself chasing after them, desperate for their validation. But here's the good news. You don't have to play along. Instead of being a puppet in her emotional roller coaster, you're going to become the master of your own emotions. Through Stoicism, you'll learn how to remain calm, collected, and in control, no matter what game she tries to play. This isn't just about winning with women. It's about taking control of your life. It's about refusing to let your emotions be manipulated and standing tall as a man who knows his worth. So, if you're tired of being played, done with the emotional games, and ready to take your power back, stay tuned. These 10 Stoic strategies will change your life. The first strategy is about detaching emotionally and stopping the reactive behavior that most men fall into. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means that your emotions no longer control you. You are no longer reactive. Most guys freak out when a woman pulls away or starts acting distant. They become anxious, overthink the situation, and try to fix things. But here's the truth. Women are testing you. They want to see how easily you crack under pressure. When you chase after them, desperate for their attention, you fail the test. Instead, you need to remain emotionally detached. Whether she's texting you every 5 minutes or ghosting you for a week, your emotional state should remain unchanged. Stay calm, stay centered, and don't let her games sway you. The more you practice emotional detachment, the more attractive you become. Women are drawn to men who can stay composed because it shows strength, and strength is what makes you irresistible. The second strategy is to recognize her manipulative behavior patterns. Women are creatures of habit, and once you start paying attention, you'll begin to notice patterns in their behavior that you didn't see before. Why is this important? Because patterns reveal intent, and once you can recognize the pattern, the game becomes predictable. When something becomes predictable, you can easily outsmart it. One common pattern you'll likely notice is hot and cold behavior. One day she's texting you non-stop, saying how amazing you are and hinting at future plans together. The next day, nothing. Crickets. She suddenly acts distant, busy, or like she doesn't care. It's maddening, right? This is the classic push-pull strategy. Women use this to see if they can get you to chase after them. If you fall for it and start blowing up her phone, asking if everything is okay, or if you did something wrong, you're playing right into her hands. Here's what you need to do. Recognize this as a test of your emotional control. She wants to see if she can get a reaction out of you. Most guys fail this test because they panic and chase harder. But not you. You're going to stay calm and composed and let her come to you. When you don't react to her hot and cold behavior, you flip the script. Suddenly, she's the one chasing you, wondering why you didn't fall for her game. Let me be clear, this behavior isn't always malicious. Sometimes, women do it subconsciously to test your confidence without even realizing it. But whether it's intentional or not, the result is the same. You need to stay emotionally grounded and unshakable. Another pattern to watch out for is breadcrumbing. This is when she gives you just enough attention to keep you interested, but never fully commits. You might get a flirty text here and there, or she might agree to hang out, but there's always a sense of ambiguity and indecision. This behavior is designed to keep you on edge, always hoping for more, but never fully receiving it. Recognizing these patterns and responding with emotional detachment and strength will help you break free from this cycle and take control of your emotional life. By learning to recognize these behaviors and mastering your own emotional response, you'll transform your relationships and become a man who's unshaken, in control, and immune to the emotional games that many women play. You might receive a flirty text here and there, or she may agree to meet up sometime, but when it's time to actually make plans, she's nowhere to be found. This behavior is a strategy designed to keep you emotionally hooked, investing your time and energy without giving you any real commitment in return. How do you handle breadcrumbing? The key is to call it out calmly, without anger or emotional investment. You could say something like, "Look, I'm not here for half-hearted attention. If you're not interested in spending time together, that's fine, but I'm not going to wait around." The important thing is that you're not angry, not emotional, and definitely not chasing after her. By setting this boundary, you make it clear that you have standards and won't settle for less than you deserve. Setting firm boundaries is essential to commanding respect. The truth is, if you don't establish boundaries early in a relationship, you're signaling to her that it's okay for her to walk all over you. Many men fear setting boundaries because they worry it will scare women off, but women actually crave boundaries because they show self-respect. A man who respects himself earns the respect of others, including women. Setting boundaries isn't about controlling her actions. It's about communicating your needs to feel respected in the relationship. For example, if she's constantly canceling plans last minute or leaving you hanging without any explanation, you don't ignore it or let it slide. Instead, you address it directly and calmly, saying something like, "I've noticed you've been canceling a lot lately, and I value consistency. If you're not interested in making plans work, that's fine, but I'm not okay with this back and forth." You're not attacking her, not accusing her, but simply stating your boundary. When you communicate this with self-respect, you're forcing her to either step up and respect you or move on. Either way, you're protecting your emotional energy. Now, imagine you're in a situation where a woman flirts with other guys in front of you, perhaps trying to make you jealous or test how much you care. Most men either blow up and get angry or stew in jealousy. But you calmly pull her aside and say, "Look, I'm not into games. If you're interested in other guys, that's fine, but I'm not sticking around for that." You're setting a boundary, leaving it up to her to decide whether she'll respect it. If she doesn't, you walk away. When it comes to mind games, nothing is more powerful than staying calm under pressure. Women often test men to see if they can provoke them emotionally. They might talk about their ex, flirt with other guys, or make passive-aggressive comments to see how you'll react. It's a classic tactic designed to push your buttons, and most men take the bait. But not you. You'll handle these situations like a Stoic. When she starts pushing your buttons, you remain calm, composed, and completely unbothered. Here's why this works. When you refuse to react, you completely disarm her. She expects you to blow up, get jealous, or argue. But when you stay calm, you send a clear message that she can't control you. Let's take an example. Imagine she brings up her ex during a conversation, saying something like, "My ex used to take me to this amazing restaurant," or "I had so much fun with my ex last summer." She's trying to get a rise out of you, to make you feel insecure or jealous. Most guys would respond by saying something like, "I don't want to hear about your ex," or "Why are you still thinking about him?" But not you. You stay calm and respond with something like, "That's cool, I'm sure he was a great guy." By doing so, you're not giving her the reaction she's looking for, and that makes you unpredictable. In another scenario, imagine she flirts with another guy in front of you, maybe in a group setting. Most men would start to fume, either trying to outdo the other guy or getting angry at her for disrespecting them. But a Stoic man remains calm. Even if it stings a little inside, you don't engage in competition. You simply observe and show her that you're not threatened. If she's doing this to get attention from you, your calmness will make her wonder why you're not reacting. That's when the power shifts back to you. The key here is to never let your emotions control your actions. When you stay calm under pressure, you show her that you're not easily shaken, and that makes you incredibly attractive. Most guys lose their way in relationships because they're too focused on immediate gratification. They want the validation of her affection, the high of her attention, or the quick fix of resolving a conflict. But Stoicism teaches us to focus on long-term goals rather than short-term drama. When you focus on your long-term goals, you stop being distracted by her games. You prioritize your own development, emotional stability, and self-respect, which ultimately leads to a stronger, more balanced approach to relationships. You become less concerned with the immediate highs and lows, and more focused on creating lasting, meaningful connections built on mutual respect and understanding. When it comes to relationships, focusing solely on short-term desires, such as craving attention or trying to fix conflicts immediately, can easily lead to emotional instability. Stoicism, on the other hand, encourages a longer-term perspective. By prioritizing long-term goals, whether in your career, physical fitness, or personal growth, you stop getting caught up in the daily drama that can come with a relationship. Consider this. If you're working hard to build a successful career, improving your fitness, and developing as a person, do you really have time to get lost in petty mind games? Absolutely not. You've got bigger things on your plate. This shift in mindset serves two key purposes. First, it makes you less emotionally reactive, because your emotions are no longer tied to the whims of another person's attention. You stop relying on her for emotional validation because you're already getting that from the progress you're making in your own life. Second, it makes you more attractive because women find purpose-driven men magnetic. A man who is focused on his mission in life exudes an energy that is far more compelling than someone who is fixated on someone else's actions. Let's imagine you've been dating a woman for a few weeks and everything seems to be going well. But suddenly she starts pulling away, texting less, making fewer plans, and acting distant. The typical response for most men would be to panic, overthink, and try to fix things by chasing harder or making themselves more available. But a man who is focused on his long-term goals does not flinch in the face of this. Why? Because he knows that his worth isn't defined by whether or not she's giving him attention. He's busy building his empire, improving himself, and pursuing his goals. If she wants to be part of that journey, great. If not, he won't lose any sleep over it. When you're focused on long-term goals, you naturally become more emotionally independent. You stop needing her to validate your worth because your progress and accomplishments already do that. And here's the thing. When she sees that you're not chasing her or getting caught up in the drama, she will find herself drawn to you more. Why? Because you're not the guy waiting around for her text. You're the guy too busy working on his life to care about petty games. One of the biggest mistakes men make when dealing with women who play mind games is retaliating emotionally. Let's say she flirts with another guy or does something that makes you feel hurt or jealous. The typical response might be to try and get even, to flirt with another girl to make her jealous, or play hard to get to make her chase you. But make no mistake, this will never work. The moment you retaliate emotionally, you're losing. Why? Because you're reacting to her behavior, which puts her in control of the situation. You're letting her dictate your actions, and this is a sign of weakness. A Stoic man, however, never retaliates emotionally. He understands that emotional reactions are a weakness and instead responds with calm indifference. For instance, if she ghosts you, you don't chase after her or play games in return. You simply withdraw your attention and focus on yourself. If she tries to make you jealous by flirting with another guy, you don't take the bait. You stay calm and continue with your life. Imagine you're at a party with a woman you've been seeing and she starts flirting with another guy right in front of you. Most guys would either get angry and confront her or try to flirt with another girl to make her jealous. But both of these reactions come from insecurity. As a Stoic, you stay calm and don't engage. You refuse to give her the emotional reaction she's looking for, and that drives her crazy. Why? Because you've shown her that she doesn't have power over you. When you don't retaliate emotionally, you maintain control of the situation. You send the message that you won't be manipulated by her games. And the beauty of this approach is that when you don't react, the game loses its power. She'll either stop playing it or realize she can't control you. Either way, you win. Communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship, but many people get it wrong. Either they avoid tough conversations or they approach them with too much emotion, which leads to arguments, misunderstandings, and unnecessary drama. A Stoic man knows how to communicate his needs and boundaries clearly and firmly, without letting emotions get the better of him. For instance, if a woman has been acting distant or inconsistent, and it's beginning to affect you, the typical response might be to either blow up at her or suppress your feelings. But a Stoic man handles this situation by addressing it directly without creating drama. He says something like, "Hey, I've noticed you've been acting differently lately. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'd like to know if there's something we need to talk about. Notice how he's not accusing her, raising his voice, or demanding answers. He's simply expressing his observation and inviting her to share her perspective. This approach disarms her because it shows that you're not coming from a place of neediness or emotional outbursts. You're coming from a place of calm confidence, and that's incredibly attractive. When you communicate clearly and firmly, you set boundaries and express your needs without drama or emotional volatility. You take control of the conversation, making it clear that you're a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to ask for it. It signals that you are not afraid to confront problems head-on and that you won't let issues fester. This establishes a dynamic rooted in respect and honesty rather than manipulation or mind games. At the heart of any successful relationship is a strong, healthy connection with oneself. The most important relationship you have is with yourself, a truth that too many men overlook when they become entangled in emotional games or manipulative behavior. If you are constantly anxious, stressed, or feeling as though you're walking on eggshells, it's time to reevaluate what you are allowing into your life. No person should be the cause of sacrificing your mental peace, self-respect, or overall well-being. When you begin putting someone else's needs above your own, especially at the expense of your sanity, you are already losing the game. This is not about becoming selfish or disregarding others, but about maintaining balance. When you prioritize your own well-being, you become more attractive, not less. Women are drawn to men who are grounded, who know their own worth, and who refuse to let anyone destabilize their peace. This principle applies across every area of life, not just relationships. Whether it's your career, friendships, or family, your well-being should always come first. Take a moment to think about a situation where you might be seeing someone who sends mixed signals. 1 minute, she's affectionate. The next, she's distant or cold. You may start questioning yourself, wondering if you've done something wrong, and perhaps even changing your behavior to fit her mood swings. But stop for a moment and ask yourself how this is affecting your mental health. If the answer is negatively, it's time to take action. You need to step back, withdraw your energy, and refocus on what makes you feel good, whether that's hitting the gym, working on your personal goals, or spending time with supportive friends. Protecting your peace should be your priority, and when you do, 2 things will happen. Either she will recognize your value and start respecting you more, or she will leave because she can no longer manipulate you. In both cases, you win. You have either removed someone who doesn't respect you from your life, or you have gained control in the relationship by showing that you are not easily swayed. In today's world, many men are pressured into catering to women's emotions at the cost of their own well-being. This is nonsense. Prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health isn't just attractive. It is essential for your survival in the modern dating world. When you make it clear that your peace of mind is non-negotiable, you immediately become more desirable and respected. So, the next time you feel that someone's erratic behavior threatens your peace, ask yourself if it's worth sacrificing your well-being. If the answer is no, it's time to recalibrate and focus on what truly matters, yourself. Patience is an incredibly powerful tool, especially when dealing with women who may be playing games. The reality is that patience is something many men struggle with because they want instant results. They want clarity right now. They want to know where they stand. But here's the truth. Women often test a man's patience to see if he can handle uncertainty. In a world where everyone is conditioned to expect instant responses, the man who can practice patience becomes a rarity. He's seen as valuable and rare because he doesn't crack under pressure. If she doesn't text back right away, he doesn't lose his cool. If plans are cancelled last minute, he doesn't lose his temper. Instead, he allows things to unfold naturally and stays composed. Women will inevitably test a man's patience. They might take hours to respond to a text, or even go silent for days, just to see if he will panic or chase them. Most men fall into this trap by double texting or over-analyzing the situation. But you are different. You understand the power of patience. The next time she tries one of these moves, resist the urge to react. Do nothing. Let her reach out to you when she's ready. Trust that she will notice your calm response and wonder why you're not chasing after her. This shift in behavior is when the power dynamic shifts in your favor. Why is patience so powerful? It demonstrates that you are not desperate for her validation. It shows that you are emotionally stable, that you have your own life, and that you won't drop everything just because she's pulling away. This makes you a challenge, and women are naturally drawn to challenges. Practicing patience is not just about waiting for her to text back or to commit to something. It's about delaying gratification in all areas of your life. When you master patience, you stop chasing things that don't serve your long-term goals. You stop reacting emotionally to every little incident, and you stop getting caught up in the emotional roller coaster that many men succumb to. A Stoic man understands that good things take time. He isn't rushing, nor is he desperate. He's playing the long game, and the long game always wins. While other men scramble for attention and immediate validation, you sit back, allowing things to unfold while keeping your focus on your goals. Remember, patience doesn't mean doing nothing forever. It means waiting for the right moment to act, whether in your relationship, career, or personal growth. Patience enables you to make calculated, strategic moves that will pay off in the long run. It's not about instant gratification. It's about achieving lasting success. Choosing to walk away with confidence when necessary is another powerful tool. There's a saying that the most powerful position is to be able to walk away and mean it. If you remember one thing from this, let it be this: knowing when to walk away is the ultimate power move. It's the nuclear option, the trump card most men are too afraid to play, but when you do, you immediately gain the upper hand. Not every woman deserves your time and energy. If she's playing games, stringing you along, disrespecting your time, or treating you like an option, you need to be prepared to walk away, not in a petty or dramatic manner, but with calm, quiet confidence. Here's the key. When you walk away, you show her that you don't need her validation. You show her that you have other options, and most importantly, that your self-respect is far more important than her approval. The kicker is that most of the time, when you walk away, she'll chase you. Why? Because walking away is the ultimate act of self-respect, and women are naturally drawn to men who respect themselves. But let's be clear. Walking away isn't a tactic to manipulate her into chasing you. It's about knowing your value and refusing to settle for less. When you walk away, you're saying that you're no longer willing to play the game. If she wants to be part of your life, fine, but if not, you're perfectly okay without her. If she keeps flaking on plans, texting other men, or disrespecting you in any way, you calmly tell her you're no longer interested in the back and forth. If she's serious, she'll let you know, but otherwise you move on. No anger, no frustration, no drama, just calm, collected confidence. And then you walk away. You don't send a follow-up text, you don't check her social media, and you focus solely on yourself, your goals, and your well-being. Here's the hard truth. Sometimes walking away means walking away for good. There will be times when she won't chase you and she won't come back, and that's okay. By walking away, you've already won. You've maintained your dignity, your self-respect, and your peace of mind. And trust me, those things are far more valuable than any fleeting relationship. Why is this so powerful? Because most men are afraid to walk away. They fear losing her or being alone. But when you walk away, you're saying you're not afraid. You know your worth, and you won't settle for less. That level of confidence is rare, and it's magnetic. The best part is that when you walk away, you free yourself from the emotional games. You take back control of your life, and you stop letting someone else dictate your happiness or self-worth. That, my friend, is true power. Now, in conclusion, it's time to take back your power and control your life. You have it. These 10 powerful, practical, and life-changing ways to outsmart any woman who's playing games with your heart are more than just strategies for relationships. They're strategies for life. When you practice emotional detachment, set boundaries, stay calm under pressure, prioritize your well-being, practice patience, and know when to walk away, you become unstoppable. But let me emphasize this. This isn't about manipulation or tricking women. It's about mastering yourself. It's about becoming a man who is in control of his emotions, his time, and his life. When you become that man, you will naturally attract women who respect you, value you, and don't play games. But understand, this is just the beginning. These strategies will set you on the path to becoming the best version of yourself. But the work doesn't stop here. Keep growing, keep learning, and keep applying these principles in every area of your life. If you found value in this video, please support the channel by joining the channel memberships or subscribing. Either way, it helps us continue bringing you valuable content and ensures this information is accessible to as many men as possible. Let's create a community of men who refuse to be manipulated and who take control of their lives. Imagine what it would feel like to live without being dependent on anything or anyone for your emotional stability. Imagine being able to maintain your peace without erupting in anger, without losing control, and without letting someone's words or actions have the power to shatter your mood. It may sound impossible, doesn't it? But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. What I want to share with you will completely shift the way you view life, not through magic, and certainly not through shallow, positive thinking, but through practical wisdom. This is the same kind of wisdom used by the great Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, who faced life's storms without ever letting go of their calm. Think back to the last time you got upset. Maybe someone disrespected you, broke your trust, or maybe it was something as simple as heavy traffic that triggered your frustration. What if I told you that all that anger you felt was actually a choice? Yes, a choice. And if you take to heart what I'm about to teach you, you'll find yourself no longer reacting in those same old ways. But there's a secret, a core principle that shifts everything. In this video, I'm going to walk you through that principle step by step. But before we dive in, I want you to take one small but powerful action. Go down to the comment section and write, "I will never again get angry at anything or anyone." This single act marks the beginning of a real transformation. It's the moment you commit, not to me, but to yourself. So let's begin. The first strategy is to accept the flow of life. Life is always moving, like a river with its rises and falls, moments of serenity and moments of storm. The Stoics teach us that when we fight against what's already happening, when we resist the inevitable, we only cause ourselves unnecessary suffering. Why is that? Because resistance places you in a battle you've already lost. On the other hand, acceptance allows you to embrace life as it is, not as you wish it were. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means recognizing that while you may not have control over external circumstances, you always have control over how you respond and what actions you take. When you fully embrace this mindset, you stop burdening yourself with frustrations that don't serve you. Picture yourself facing an unexpected problem. You can waste energy wondering, "Why me?" Or you can shift your focus to, "What can I do right now?" Acceptance offers mental clarity, helping you make better decisions and freeing you from emotional suffering. It also involves recognizing that everything in life is temporary. Neither happiness nor sadness lasts forever. This deeper understanding helps you savor the good times without clinging to them, and approach the difficult times knowing they too shall pass. To live in the flow of life is to find peace amid change, understanding that you always have the power to choose how you move forward. The second strategy is to stop judging others. Judging people is like carrying around a heavy backpack filled with stones that don't belong to you. The Stoics remind us that most of our judgments are not really about other people. They're reflections of our own unmet expectations, insecurities, or misunderstandings. Every time you criticize or label someone, you're stepping away from the path of your own personal growth. Think about it. Someone does something that annoys or confuses you. Instead of rushing to judge, pause and ask yourself, do I really know their full story? Do I know what struggles they're facing internally? Most likely, you don't. And adopting this perspective allows you to respond with empathy rather than criticism. Letting go of judgment doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior. It means you understand that people's actions say more about them than they do about you. This shift in perspective not only brings emotional relief, but also improves your relationships. And here's something powerful. When you stop judging others, you also let go of the fear of being judged yourself. The weight of constantly seeking approval lifts, and with that freedom comes inner peace. Rather than spending your energy criticizing others, use that energy to reflect on how you can grow and improve. We are all imperfect. We are all learning. And when you choose compassion over criticism, you contribute to a more understanding world and release yourself from emotional burdens you don't need to carry. It's in this act of letting go that you find true serenity and clarity to focus on what really matters. Before we continue, I'd truly appreciate it if you could like and share this video so it can reach and help even more people. And if you don't want to miss out on future insights like this one, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Now let's move to the third strategy. Control your mind. Your mind can be your strongest ally or your worst enemy. It all depends on how you train it. The Stoics deeply understood this. Everything begins in the mind. What you think shapes how you feel, and eventually how you act. If you don't take the reins of your own thoughts, your mind will quickly become overrun with distractions, anxieties, and negativity that dominate your experience. Controlling your mind doesn't mean trying to forcefully block out every unwanted thought. It means learning to guide them. One essential practice is mindful observation. When a negative thought comes up, don't feed it, don't merge with it. Step back, observe it without attachment, and let it pass like a cloud in the sky. Meditation is a powerful way to strengthen this skill. Just a few minutes a day focusing on your breath or silently repeating a calming phrase can build your ability to remain steady in difficult situations. This simple habit enhances your mental strength, allowing you to stay grounded even when life throws challenges your way. By learning to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them, you gradually develop a deeper inner peace. You no longer react impulsively. You respond with awareness. And that is the essence of true emotional mastery. This journey is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about choosing understanding over anger, peace over judgment, and awareness over reactivity. The more you live by these principles, the more freedom you will experience, not just from others, but from your own internal storms. And that, my friend, is how you begin to live with real strength and serenity. Facing challenging situations while learning to train your mind to focus on what truly matters helps you avoid distractions and boosts your productivity. Another key principle from Stoic philosophy is the importance of questioning your thoughts. Not everything that runs through your mind is a reflection of truth. When you catch yourself expecting the worst or worrying about things outside of your control, take a step back and ask yourself, is this thought helping me or harming me? More often than not, you'll discover that you can replace that thought with one that is more constructive and positive. When you gain control over your mind, you also take command of your emotions and reactions. Regardless of what's happening around you, you will always have the power to remain calm and stay focused. Remember, mastering your mind is the foundational step to mastering your life. Another powerful strategy is to let go of the illusion of a perfect world. The world isn't perfect, and expecting it to be will only lead to constant frustration. The Stoics understood that mistakes, setbacks, and difficulties are not only inevitable, but an essential part of human existence. When you stop resisting this truth, you unlock a deep and endless reservoir of peace and clarity. Picture a moment when someone makes a mistake that negatively affects you. Your initial response might be anger or disappointment. But what if you saw that mistake instead as a chance to practice patience and compassion? This shift in perception doesn't just lighten your emotional burden, it also deepens and strengthens your relationships. Accepting imperfection also involves surrendering the need to control everything. No one has the power to eliminate every problem or ensure that things always go according to plan. Rather than wasting energy trying to change what cannot be changed, focus on what you can control, your mindset and your choices. Acceptance does not mean giving up or settling. It means choosing to improve yourself and your world without the unrealistic expectation that everything must be flawless. The real lesson is in finding peace amidst imperfection, both in others and within yourself. When you embrace this mindset, you free yourself from chronic frustration and the stress of impossible standards. In its place, you gain the ability to enjoy the present and meet life's challenges with wisdom and composure. Another transformative Stoic strategy is to take full responsibility for your emotions. Your feelings are not caused by other people or external circumstances. They arise directly from how you interpret and react to those situations. This Stoic teaching is powerful because it hands control of your emotional life back to you. Instead of placing blame on others or events, it encourages self-reflection and personal responsibility. Imagine someone says something hurtful to you. In that moment, you have two choices. You can let their words disturb your peace and react with anger or sadness, or you can recognize that their opinion doesn't define your worth or control your inner calm. The key is to remember that no one can make you feel a certain way without your permission. Owning your emotions also involves letting go of the need for outside validation. Often, our negative feelings stem from unmet expectations. We want others to behave in specific ways or meet certain standards. But when you realize that those expectations are yours alone and not obligations for others to fulfill, you liberate yourself from unnecessary disappointment. This doesn't mean you should suppress how you feel. Instead, it's about understanding your emotions and managing them in a healthier way. If you're feeling frustrated rather than blaming someone else, ask yourself, what thought or belief is fueling this emotion? This act of self-inquiry helps you uncover and challenge the internal narratives that are affecting your mood. When you take ownership of your emotions, you become the author of your inner experience. No matter what's happening outside of you, you always hold the power to choose your response. Practicing this daily doesn't just bring inner peace, it also improves the quality of your relationships and allows for deeper emotional connection. Never forget, your emotional well-being is your own responsibility. The final strategy is to master the art of not reacting. Not every situation in life demands an immediate response. In today's world, we're often expected to react quickly, to reply, to act, to make decisions without pause. But true strength lies in the ability to wait, to breathe, to pause. Practicing the pause, a brief but mighty moment before you speak or act, is a valuable tool. It helps you reclaim control over your emotions and actions. When you're provoked by criticism, disagreement, or a difficult situation, your first impulse may come from raw emotion. Acting on that impulse can lead to misunderstandings, regrets, or escalation. On the other hand, if you pause, you give yourself the space to assess the situation with clarity. You quiet the emotional noise and choose a response rooted in wisdom. The art of not reacting doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing your emotions. Instead, it means giving them room to be acknowledged and understood before you respond. This habit nurtures patience, self-control, and inner wisdom. It transforms your words and actions into tools that build and uplift, rather than weapons that harm or destroy. Taking that pause also communicates a quiet strength to those around you. It shows that you are not easily manipulated or provoked. It demonstrates that your peace is not up for grabs. When you demonstrate that you're not easily manipulated and can stay grounded even in difficult or high-pressure situations, you're revealing a deep level of emotional maturity and inner resilience. It's a powerful sign that you know who you are and that you can remain centered no matter what's happening around you. Keep in mind that you don't always have to defend yourself, explain your actions, or respond to every provocation. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than any argument. It can be the most profound and impactful response. By learning to choose your words and your battles wisely, you can completely transform how you relate to others and how you perceive life itself. Cultivating the ability to pause before reacting gives you the space to access your higher self, the version of you that responds with wisdom instead of impulse. Within that pause lies the strength to act from clarity, and in that clarity, true power is found. Strategy 7 is about embracing daily gratitude. Gratitude holds the remarkable power to deeply shift the way you experience your life. In a world that constantly urges you to focus on what you're lacking, practicing daily gratitude helps you become more aware of what you already possess. It invites a radical shift in perspective, one that centers on fullness instead of deficiency. The key is to make gratitude a consistent habit, not just an occasional reflection. Each day, Take a few minutes to acknowledge 3 things that you're thankful for. These don't have to be grand accomplishments. They can be small, everyday blessings, like a friend's kind smile or the sunshine breaking through after a storm. The goal is to focus your mind on the things that bring you peace and joy rather than dwelling on negativity or scarcity. This simple daily habit allows you to view the world through a more appreciative and peaceful lens, recognizing the abundance that already surrounds you. Gratitude not only fosters inner peace, but it also elevates your relationships by helping you truly value the people and experiences that you might otherwise overlook. By practicing gratitude daily, you cultivate a mindset rooted in abundance rather than lack. The more you train yourself to be thankful, the more reasons you'll begin to find for continued thankfulness. This generates a powerful and expansive cycle of positivity. Gratitude directly enhances your emotional well-being by reducing stress, easing anxiety, and alleviating frustration. It reconnects you with a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. Embracing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring life's difficulties. It means seeking out the light, even in moments of darkness. Making gratitude a daily ritual is a simple practice, but one with immense transformative power. When you focus on the blessings already present in your life, you change the way you live, creating a more fulfilled and conscious existence. Strategy 8 encourages you to focus your attention on what you can control. Life is inherently uncertain, filled with elements that lie outside your reach. You cannot control the weather, other people's opinions, or rewrite the past. However, there is one thing that remains firmly within your power: your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. When you shift your energy toward what is within your control, you liberate yourself from the exhaustion and frustration that come from trying to change the unchangeable. The first step is acknowledging that much of the anxiety and stress you experience stems from fixating on things you can't influence, worrying about the future, dwelling on how others perceive you, or replaying past mistakes. These mental habits distance you from the present, robbing you of the ability to respond wisely to what's happening right now. Instead of obsessing over what's out of your hands, redirect your focus toward what you can influence. You hold power over your choices, your responses to situations, and how you face the challenges before you. You can decide how to react to adversity, how to extract lessons from your mistakes, and how to grow stronger through hardship. When you concentrate on what is within your control, you take the reins of your life. You become the foundation of your own peace and emotional stability, no longer relying on external conditions to feel balanced or secure. This mindset allows you to develop greater resilience. Rather than resisting what cannot be changed, you learn to adapt, to navigate life from a place of calm awareness and intentional action. Remember that your energy is limited. Don't waste it on battles that are not yours to fight. Instead, invest it in what is truly within your sphere of influence. By doing so, you will begin to live with greater mindfulness, focus, and inner serenity. Strategy 9 is to practice empathy. Empathy is among the most transformative and powerful abilities you can develop when it comes to building meaningful relationships and resolving conflict. Every person you meet is carrying invisible burdens, personal struggles often hidden behind the faces they present to the world. Before letting frustration or anger take over in difficult interactions, pause for a moment and consider what the other person might be going through. Practicing empathy doesn't mean that you have to agree with someone else's point of view, but it does mean making a sincere effort to understand where they're coming from, their feelings, their life situation, their unique challenges. When you encounter conflict, rather than reacting impulsively, ask yourself, what might this person be feeling right now? What kind of struggles or worries might be influencing their behavior? This conscious effort to understand others allows you to look beneath the surface and respond from a place of compassion rather than judgment. Empathy softens anger and dissolves tension because it fosters deeper human connection. By seeing beyond the immediate situation, you open a path toward resolution and healing. You free yourself from the constant urge to prove a point or assert your own perspective. Instead, you begin to strengthen both your personal and professional relationships. Practicing empathy also nurtures patience and tolerance, helping you recognize that every person has their own journey, their own history, and their own pain. This awareness allows you to respond with greater calmness and grace. By cultivating empathy, you not only become more understanding, you also create space for more peaceful, authentic interactions in your life. Reacting with calmness and constructiveness, rather than escalating a conflict, allows for resolution through greater understanding and mutual respect. When you practice empathy, you not only improve your own well-being, but also positively impact those around you, fostering a more conscious, connected, and humane environment. By making empathy a central part of your daily life, you contribute to creating a more harmonious and supportive atmosphere. Another key lesson is to embrace the transient nature of life. Nothing in this world is permanent. People, moments, and emotions are fleeting. Everything is in a constant state of change, and when you accept this transience, you cultivate a profound appreciation for the present. Instead of holding on to the past or fearing the future, you learn to savor the here and now. Recognizing the impermanence of life also helps free your heart and mind from unnecessary emotional burdens, such as resentment and anger. Although these emotions are natural, they intensify when we cling to past situations. By understanding that all things end, you can release these negative feelings more easily, making it easier to move forward without carrying the weight of the unchangeable. Embracing life's transience also gives you the flexibility to adapt more easily to changing circumstances, offering a greater sense of peace. You come to see that pain, like joy, is temporary. By accepting impermanence, you learn to cherish what you have in the moment, appreciating the beauty in the everyday moments that often go unnoticed. Instead of living in constant anticipation of the future or regret for the past, you learn to live fully in the present, accepting life's ebb and flow with calmness. Another important insight is to practice love and gratitude. Anger is a destructive force that consumes from within, but love and gratitude are the antidotes. This isn't about empty sentimentality, but about adopting a true philosophy of life. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, when you wake up each morning, remind yourself of the privilege of being alive, breathing, thinking, and loving. When you approach each day from this perspective, anger loses its power over you. Love, in this sense, is not romantic or dependent love, but a deep understanding and compassion for humanity. Everyone acts according to their own understanding and circumstances. So, when someone offends you, instead of reacting with anger, ask yourself, does this person truly know what they are doing? Often, the answer is no. By letting go of personal offense, you realize that it's not possible to be angry and grateful at the same time. If you practice gratitude consciously, your mind will stop searching for things to be upset about. For example, when someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of cursing, be grateful that you have a vehicle and the opportunity to drive. If someone speaks ill of you, be thankful that you have the chance to show who you truly are through your actions. The key is in choosing how to interpret every situation. While you can't control the outside world, you can control the meaning you give to it. Gratitude transforms problems into lessons, and love transforms frustration into patience. If you adopt this mindset, anger will have no place in your life. Furthermore, we often fall into the trap of labeling things as either good or bad. Society teaches us to divide the world into categories like just and unjust, noble and vile, right and wrong. But this binary view of the world is simplistic and ultimately frustrating. The Stoics understood a profound truth. No one is entirely good or entirely bad. Every person acts according to their own perceptions, experiences, and limitations. When someone betrays you, lies to you, or treats you poorly, it's not because they are inherently bad. In their mind, they are justifying their actions, perhaps driven by fear, ignorance, or internal struggles. Labeling them as bad only breeds resentment and solves nothing. As Epictetus stated clearly, it's not the person who harms you, but the judgment you place on their actions that causes pain. You are not angry because of what happens to you, but because of the story you tell yourself about it. For example, if someone insults you on the street and you label them as a fool, anger will flood your mind. But if you instead think, maybe this person is having a tough day, you free yourself from the burden of anger. True power lies in accepting reality as it is, without dividing it into extremes. Don't expect the world to behave according to your expectations. People act based on their own reasons, not yours. When you understand this, you stop suffering from their actions. You won't get angry because you realize that everyone, in their own way, is doing the best they can with the tools they have. If you've made it this far, you have not only learned how to free yourself from anger, but have also taken a significant step toward a calmer, more powerful life. The key is in changing your perspective and not allowing external circumstances to control your inner peace. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you found it helpful, please give it a like and share it with your friends and family. Everyone deserves to live a more peaceful life. Be sure to subscribe for more content on Stoicism and personal growth. And remember, take action now by writing in the comments, "I will never get angry about anything or anyone." This simple but powerful act is the first step toward transformation, and it marks the moment when you commit to a new way of being. I invite you to watch the next video where you will discover another Stoic teaching that can transform your life. See you there. When we think about the noise that fills our minds, it's those endless inner dialogues that immediately come to the forefront. The worries, the fears, the endless what-ifs, they occupy every mental corner until, without even realizing it, we become entangled in a cycle that holds us captive. This cycle often paralyzes us, especially in today's world where distractions are constant and life's demands feel overwhelming. Calming the mind has become an enormous challenge, and this is exactly where Stoicism steps in, not just as a tool for enduring hardship, but as a reliable guide through the storm of mental chaos. Stoicism, at its heart, is about more than simply enduring adversity. It's about navigating life with a sense of serenity and a clear, composed mind. Picture your mind as a vast ocean. At times, it is serene and still. At other times, it's as though the waves of chaos and confusion are crashing all around, threatening to consume you. How do you stay afloat in such turbulent waters? How do you find that deep sense of calm you yearn for when everything outside seems to pull you into the storm? This is where 8 straightforward Stoic strategies come in. Tools not rooted in quick fixes or magical thinking, but in principles that ancient wise men lived by daily. These same principles can be applied in our lives today, even though our world looks drastically different. Let's begin with accepting reality as it is, without resistance. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the radical acceptance of reality just as it presents itself. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and in those moments our minds tend to overflow with frustration, anger, or sadness. But instead of fighting what cannot be changed, the Stoic path encourages us to accept things exactly as they are. Seneca put it perfectly when he said that fate leads those who accept it and drags those who resist. It's this inner resistance to what happens that creates immense psychological distress. Think about how many times you found yourself stressed over something that had already occurred, or felt upset about a situation not unfolding as you had hoped. We resist reality because we want it to be different, and that desire alone generates constant inner tension. It's like rowing against the current, using up all your energy fighting what already is. Accepting reality doesn't mean giving up or resigning to the idea that things can never improve. Rather, it means understanding that there are moments in life that lie beyond our control. Stoic acceptance is about releasing the inner resistance that drains us, and once we do that, the mind begins to relax. It's like ceasing to wrestle with reality and instead learning to move with it. Many times, we hesitate to accept unpleasant situations because we fear that acceptance means we're okay with them, or that we're allowing them to affect us without protest. But in truth, acceptance is about creating mental space. When you accept what's happening, you remove its power to dominate your emotions. From that calm space, you gain clarity and can make better decisions. Here's a simple example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and realize you're going to be late for a very important meeting. You have 2 choices. You can mentally resist the situation, curse the traffic, feel overwhelmed and angry, which changes absolutely nothing. Or you can accept where you are, recognize there's nothing you can do to change it in that moment, and shift into a calmer state. The first reaction fills your mind with unnecessary noise. The second gives you the mental peace to handle the situation as effectively as possible. Acceptance is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Each time you encounter something beyond your control, remember Seneca's wisdom. Ask yourself, am I letting this situation drag me down, or am I allowing it to guide me? By accepting what cannot be changed, you reduce mental friction, and that inner tension begins to dissolve. Marcus Aurelius understood this principle well when he wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." If we constantly resist change, we set ourselves up for continual frustration. But if we embrace change as a part of life, we unlock a surprising sense of peace. Life isn't defined solely by what happens around us, but by how we choose to interpret and respond to those events. Accepting what is, without resistance, is one of the most powerful ways to bring calm to the mind. It frees you from the torment of wishing things were different, allowing you to redirect your focus toward what truly matters, your mindset and your response. Next comes practicing full presence, mindfulness in the now. This is where Stoicism reveals its true transformative power. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most well-known philosopher-emperors, wrote in his Meditations that people waste away when they allow their minds to drift through the past or the future. The present, he reminds us, is the only moment we truly possess. And although this idea sounds simple, it can profoundly change how we experience life. Why? Because the mind has a habit of traveling back and forth, reliving the past or worrying about the future. We replay moments, wondering why we said certain things or wishing we had acted differently. We worry about outcomes that haven't even happened, wondering, what if I fail? Or what if things go wrong? This constant mental tug-of-war exhausts us. It generates anxiety. It robs us of inner peace. The Stoic solution is to anchor ourselves in the present. The present is all that truly exists. It is the only moment over which we have any real influence. Everything else, our memories, our anticipations, is just mental projection. The more time we spend mentally elsewhere, the further we drift from clarity and peace. Practicing mindfulness, what we now commonly call being present, means returning your attention again and again to what is happening right now. It doesn't mean ignoring the past or avoiding thoughts of the future, but it does mean becoming aware of when you're lost in them and gently guiding your mind back to the here and now. This is a practice. At first, it can feel unnatural because our minds are so conditioned to wander. But the more we practice, the more we begin to feel the incredible power of presence. Think about those moments when you're completely immersed in something, whether it's a captivating book, an engaging conversation, or even a simple meal enjoyed without distractions. During those times, your mind is calm. There are no worries, no regrets, no fears, just pure awareness. That's the core of this strategy. A practical way to start is by paying close attention to your breath. When your thoughts begin spiraling into the past or future, pause. Take a few deep breaths. Focus on the sensation of air moving in and out of your body. This simple act can ground you in the moment. Marcus Aurelius also advised us to focus on what's in front of us, to give our full attention to the task at hand. When you train your mind to return to the present, something extraordinary happens. The mental noise begins to fade. The thoughts may still be there, but they no longer control you with the same force. In the present moment, there is no room for regrets or anxiety, only awareness of what you're doing right now. And that awareness brings a sense of calm and clarity that's hard to find anywhere else. The practice of mindfulness is what breaks the endless mental loops that fill your mind with unnecessary chatter. By returning again and again to the present, you discover that this moment, just as it is enough. And in that realization, peace begins to grow. Now let's explore emotional detachment. This is one of those powerful Stoic tools that, once truly understood, can completely reshape how you perceive life. But we must be clear, emotional detachment in the Stoic sense doesn't mean becoming cold or distant. On the contrary, it's about loving deeply and committing fully, but doing so without letting your happiness or inner peace depend on outcomes that lie beyond your control. Seneca expressed this well when he said, "Love, but love as one who knows it won't last forever." At first glance, that might sound harsh, but the purpose behind this teaching is liberating. When we grow too emotionally attached to something, a person, a possession, or even a cherished dream, we set ourselves up for suffering. Life changes. Circumstances shift, and when they do, it's that very attachment that creates our pain. Emotional detachment is not about caring less. It's about holding things, people, and outcomes more lightly. It's recognizing that all things are temporary and that true peace comes from within, not from external conditions. Detachment doesn't weaken your love, it strengthens your resilience. Because you can love, you can care, and you can commit, while still remembering that nothing is guaranteed to remain the same. The moment we release the need to control or cling, we begin to free ourselves from the emotional chaos that drains us. This is the Stoic way of loving fully while standing firm within yourself, being engaged with life, yet not enslaved by its inevitable changes. Practicing emotional detachment doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It actually means engaging with life more deeply. It's about cherishing what you have and valuing your relationships without becoming so attached that your happiness feels dependent on them. Think about how often you've experienced anxiety or emotional distress simply because you feared losing something, a job, a relationship, a dream opportunity. That sense of emotional dependency generates fear, and when life doesn't unfold the way we hoped, suffering becomes inevitable. But detachment isn't about cold indifference. It's about liberating yourself from the grip that external outcomes have over your inner peace. The Stoics believed that it's entirely possible to love and appreciate something deeply while simultaneously recognizing its impermanence. When you cultivate this kind of emotional detachment, your mind begins to quiet down. You're no longer tormented by the fear of losing what you hold dear. You begin to live in the present, grateful but grounded, fully aware that nothing is guaranteed to last forever. Consider a common, everyday example: attachment to material possessions. Imagine owning a car you absolutely love. It's perfectly fine to care for it and enjoy it. But if you become overly emotionally attached, something as small as a scratch or mechanical issue can throw off your entire day or even your week. Practicing detachment would mean saying, "I value this car, but I understand that it is just a possession. If I lose it tomorrow, I'll still be okay." This mindset doesn't just ease your anxiety, it shifts your entire perspective, allowing you to relate to your belongings in a healthier, more balanced way. Epictetus offered powerful wisdom on this subject when he said, "Never say of anything, 'I have lost it,' but 'I have returned it.'" The idea is simple yet transformative. Nothing truly belongs to us forever. Everything is part of the natural cycle of life. Rather than seeing a loss as something being taken from you, see it as something returning to where it came from. Adopting this mindset radically changes how you process and respond to loss, whether it's something big or something small. As you begin to live with emotional detachment, you'll find that the situations which once filled you with anxiety and stress begin to lose their intensity. It doesn't mean you've become indifferent. It means you no longer give those situations the power to dictate your peace of mind. You begin to understand that true happiness and lasting calm come from within, not from what you possess or who surrounds you. Detachment opens the door to incredible mental freedom. When you're no longer emotionally tethered to outcomes, you can fully enjoy the moment, free from the constant dread of loss. And it is within that space of freedom that real peace is found. Reflecting on your day, every single day, is another practice the Stoics deeply valued. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, would write down his thoughts, reflect on his actions, and analyze how he dealt with the challenges of his day. This wasn't just a ritual, it was a tool for growth and clarity. He encouraged himself and us to take an honest inventory at the end of the day. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What lessons can I carry into tomorrow? This habit of daily reflection is one of the most effective ways to soothe the mind and steer it toward constant improvement. Why? Because our minds are often overwhelmed, not only by the chaos of the world around us, but also by our own lack of self-awareness. When we don't take time to pause and examine our thoughts and behaviors, we fall into autopilot. We repeat the same mistakes, react in the same patterns, and often don't know why we feel stuck. Daily reflection is your opportunity to hit the pause button, to look within, and to regain control of your thoughts and actions. Imagine that before going to sleep, you spend a few quiet minutes revisiting your day. It's not about harsh self-criticism, it's about curiosity and honesty. How did you handle challenging moments? Were there times you remained calm? Did you make decisions you feel proud of? This nightly habit doesn't just help you correct your missteps, it also helps you recognize your victories. In a world that moves fast, we rarely take time to appreciate the good choices we make or the wisdom we apply in our daily lives. But acknowledging those moments, when you stayed patient, spoke kindly, or took courageous action, builds confidence and reinforces your inner calm. Seneca also emphasized this habit of nightly self-assessment. He advised us to judge ourselves at the end of the day. Write it all down, examine your words and thoughts, because each day is like a miniature lifetime. When you do this, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself and can make intentional adjustments when things don't go as planned. This practice doesn't only illuminate your flaws, it also magnifies your small but meaningful achievements. These moments become anchors for your peace of mind, building resilience and a steady, balanced inner life. The idea is simple. Every night, take a few minutes to think about your day. You might even want to keep a journal, just like Marcus Aurelius did. Journaling helps you organize your thoughts and provides a space to let go of lingering worries before bedtime. It's a method for clearing your mental clutter, promoting restful sleep, and beginning the next day with clarity and calm. A useful practice is to ask yourself 3 questions each night. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? And how can I improve tomorrow? These reflections train you to live more mindfully and to close each day with purpose. Over time, this habit becomes a powerful cycle of self-awareness and continuous personal growth. When practiced consistently, daily reflection helps you correct mistakes, reinforce wise decisions, and keep your focus on what truly matters. It gives you a sense of control over your emotions and your life, which naturally reduces stress and anxiety. If you're finding value in this message, consider liking and subscribing to the channel for more insights on calming your mind with the wisdom of Stoicism. Your support means a lot. Another vital Stoic lesson is to control your thoughts. Don't let them control you. The Stoics deeply understood that the root of a disturbed and anxious mind isn't the events themselves, but how we interpret those events. Epictetus put it perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it. This phrase captures the profound truth that while we can't always control our external circumstances, we can absolutely control how we respond to them, and that response begins with our thoughts. Your mind is like a garden. If left untended, weeds, negative thoughts, worries and fears can quickly overrun it. It's incredibly easy to let negative thoughts spiral out of control. One small setback or mistake can turn into a flood of self-critical or catastrophic thinking. Everything's going wrong. I'll never fix this. I'm a failure. These thoughts generate chaos and unnecessary mental noise. The Stoic approach teaches us to observe our thoughts from a distance, as if we were an outside observer. You don't need to believe everything your mind tells you. Epictetus also reminded us that men are not disturbed by things, but by the opinion they have of them. This insight urges us to pause and question the automatic thoughts that cause us distress. Is this situation really as bad as I'm making it out to be? Is there another way to see this? To control your thoughts doesn't mean suppressing them. It means examining them, challenging them, and gently steering them in a more constructive direction. When your mind starts filling with negative or overwhelming thoughts, ask yourself, is this thought helping me, or is it making things worse? If the answer is that it's making things worse, then you have the power to shift your focus, to choose a thought that serves you better. This is where the Stoics introduce the concept of the discipline of thought, a mental habit developed through consistent practice. It's about training your mind not to be dominated by unchecked thinking. Think of your mind like a wild horse. At first, it may be unruly and hard to control, but with patience and dedication, you can learn to guide it where you want it to go. One practical technique is the Stoic art of reframing. When you catch yourself falling into a negative or stressful thought pattern, take a step back. Try to reinterpret the situation in a way that gives you perspective, strength, or calm. This is how you reclaim control of your inner world, and by doing so, you protect your peace, clarity, and power. For instance, if you're dealing with a difficult issue at work, instead of telling yourself, "I'll never be able to fix this," try shifting your perspective to something like, "This is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to grow and learn." Doing this helps to weaken the grip of negative thinking and brings a sense of calm to your mind. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, spoke often about the importance of managing our inner thoughts. He once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," which reminds us that the content of our thoughts shapes the emotional tone of our lives. If your mind is filled with gloom and negativity, your world will feel the same. But if you learn to guide your thoughts in a more constructive and reasoned direction, your inner world begins to shift toward calm and clarity. Gaining control over your thoughts not only quiets the mental noise, but also deepens your self-awareness. You begin to understand that your reactions are within your control, and that realization is deeply liberating. You may not be able to change the events around you, but you can always change the story you tell yourself about them. Make it a point to take purposeful pauses throughout your day. One of the most effective ways to calm your mind is by intentionally learning to stop and breathe. In our modern world, we're constantly bombarded with stimuli, notifications, messages, emails, social media, and endless tasks. Without even realizing it, we get swept up in this relentless pace, where the idea of taking a break feels almost like a waste of time or a luxury we can't afford. But the Stoics offer a different perspective. To them, pausing isn't optional. It's essential for keeping the mind focused and grounded. Marcus Aurelius emphasized this idea, saying that people often seek peace in faraway retreats by the sea or in the mountains, but the most important place to retreat to is within yourself. His words invite us to make room for introspection amid the daily hustle and noise. You don't have to wait for a vacation or a weekend away to find peace. You can cultivate it right now, simply by giving yourself permission to stop. These pauses matter because when we keep pushing forward without rest, our minds become overloaded. We lose efficiency, our patience wears thin, and our thoughts grow more scattered. Short breaks, even just a few minutes long, allow your mind to decompress. It's like hitting a mental reset button, giving your brain the space it needs to recharge. You can apply a Stoic technique by practicing conscious pausing. Several times a day, take a few moments to stop what you're doing. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and sit quietly. You don't need to do anything elaborate. Just be present with yourself. Even a brief pause like this can have a profound effect on your state of mind. It soothes the inner chatter and brings you back into the moment. Intentional pauses also increase your awareness. Rather than reacting automatically to what's happening around you, you gain the space to respond with greater thoughtfulness. Epictetus encouraged this habit, advising that in moments of difficulty, we should pause before we act. That brief moment of reflection helps you settle your emotions and choose your response more deliberately. For example, if you're overwhelmed at work, either from a heavy workload or a tense conversation, don't allow stress to take over. Pause, breathe deeply, and give yourself a moment to refocus. Rather than being swept up by emotion, you regain your center and respond with clarity. These breaks also give you a chance to reconnect with your inner self. We often lose sight of our own needs as we chase deadlines and meet others' expectations. Taking a break is a small but meaningful act of self-care. It lets you check in with how you're feeling and what your mind and body need. Though simple, this practice can have a huge impact on your emotional well-being. Another powerful way to calm the mind is by cultivating gratitude, especially for the small things. Gratitude is a remarkably effective yet often overlooked practice. The Stoics understood that being grateful isn't just about being polite. It's a mental discipline that can radically shift how you see your life. Seneca captured this beautifully when he said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." In other words, much of our unhappiness comes not from what we lack, but from our obsession with always wanting more. The noise in our minds often grows from this insatiable desire to achieve more, to become more, to acquire more. We live in a culture that constantly tells us we're not enough, and that happiness lies somewhere out there in the future. This mindset keeps us in a state of chronic dissatisfaction and restlessness. But gratitude shifts that focus. When you begin to appreciate what you already have, no matter how small, you quiet that endless craving. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your problems or settling for less. It means retraining your mind to recognize the good that's already present in your life. The Stoics believed that by practicing this regularly, you lessen the volume of your discontent and find deeper inner peace. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." One practical way to begin is by spending a few minutes each day reflecting on what you're thankful for. It doesn't need to be anything extraordinary. It could be something as simple as a roof over your head, a meaningful conversation with a friend, or a cup of warm coffee in the morning. When you start acknowledging these things consciously, your entire perspective begins to change, and with it, your mind begins to quiet. Think of it this way. When you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, instead of fixating on what's missing, redirect your thoughts to what's already present. For example, if you're anxious about money, rather than obsessing over what you lack, you could reflect on what you've already accomplished, the opportunities you've been given, or even just the fact that you have food to eat and clothes to wear. While this doesn't magically erase your problems, it does lift you out of the spiral of negative thoughts that fuel anxiety. It brings you back to clarity. Gratitude also transforms how you relate to others. Often, we focus on how people let us down or what they failed to do, which builds resentment and emotional noise. But when you start appreciating even the small things that people do, your relationships improve and you feel more at ease. Ultimately, gratitude is a way of recognizing that even though life may not be perfect, there is always something to be thankful for. Seneca also emphasized that gratitude should not remain an internal feeling, it should be shared. Letting others know that you appreciate them strengthens your connections and adds a sense of harmony to your mental environment. Learning to release the past is also crucial for mental clarity. One of the most persistent sources of inner turmoil is our attachment to past events, whether it's mistakes we've made, missed chances, or painful experiences. Our minds can easily get stuck in loops, rehashing things we can no longer change. This habit creates unnecessary emotional weight, but the Stoics were clear about how we should approach the past. Epictetus advised us to remember that what has already happened is beyond our control, but how we respond to it now is entirely within our power. Letting go of the past doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means accepting it for what it was and recognizing that we no longer have the ability to alter it. The past is fixed. Spending energy on regrets or what-ifs only creates more anxiety and stress. By learning to release these thoughts, you give your mind space to find peace. Clinging to the past is like carrying a backpack full of heavy stones. Each regret, each painful memory, each mistake is another burden. Eventually, that weight becomes so overwhelming that it robs you of your ability to fully experience and enjoy the present moment. Stoicism invites us to drop that weight, not out of denial, but out of acceptance. When you stop carrying the emotional baggage of the past, you begin to walk more lightly, more freely, and with a mind that is clearer and more at peace. Stoicism teaches us a powerful lesson: to release the weight we carry from the past. It encourages us to drop that emotional backpack, to take the lessons from our mistakes without allowing them to imprison us. Seneca captured this truth beautifully when he said we must not let the past rob us of the present. And that's exactly what happens when we cling to what's already gone. We lose our ability to be fully present, to live completely in the now. Every time our thoughts spiral into regrets, I should have done this, or I shouldn't have said that, we are squandering the precious opportunity to experience peace and clarity in the current moment. So, how do we truly let go of the past? One of the first steps is to reflect on what keeps us emotionally tied to that memory. Is it a decision we regret? A situation that turned out differently than we hoped? Ask yourself honestly, can I change this now? If the answer is no, then it's time to release it. Letting go doesn't mean pretending the event never happened, nor does it mean we ignore the lessons it brought. But once we've absorbed the insight, there is no benefit in carrying the emotional weight any further. Forgiveness becomes essential in this process, not only towards others, but also towards ourselves. Often, we are our own harshest critics. The things we struggle to let go of are usually our own past mistakes. But this is where Stoic wisdom offers comfort and clarity. We cannot go back and undo what was done. However, we do have the power to stop letting it control us. When we practice self-forgiveness, we lift the heavy burden of guilt and allow our minds the space to breathe, to rest. Epictetus wisely reminded us that learning is impossible if we are not willing to let go of our past errors. Holding on keeps us stuck in a cycle of regret, and if we continue to live in that space, replaying what went wrong, we block ourselves from moving forward into all the good we are still capable of. True learning emerges from acknowledging and accepting our failures, not from obsessing over them. A helpful exercise in this journey of release is visualization. Imagine those painful memories, those regrets, as if they were balloons in your hands. See yourself slowly letting them go, one by one, watching them drift further and further into the sky until they disappear into the distance. The goal isn't to erase them completely from your memory, but to stop gripping them so tightly. This simple act of imagination can lift a weight from your spirit and bring a sense of lightness, as if you are finally free from the emotional pressure those memories once held over you. Gratitude also plays a healing role in letting go. When you focus on appreciation for the people in your life or for what those past experiences taught you, you shift your energy. Gratitude nurtures your relationships and soothes your mind by fostering a space of positivity and peace. It reminds you that life isn't only about the things that went wrong, it's also about the growth that came from them and the love that still surrounds you. Have you ever been weighed down by emotional attachment, feeling stuck in a loop that seems impossible to escape? You're not alone. Many people struggle with the pain of letting go, often feeling helpless and emotionally trapped. But here's the good news. Transformation is not only possible, it's within your grasp. Drawing from the ageless teachings of Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, this video will share 10 powerful Stoic principles that can help you emotionally detach from someone. Why is detachment such a profound experience? Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." Detachment isn't about becoming numb or uncaring. It's about discovering inner strength and clarity. In this video, we'll uncover timeless Stoic insights that can lead you toward emotional freedom. As you integrate these habits into your daily life, you'll find practical and healthy ways to loosen the emotional hold others have on you, allowing you to regain your peace and focus on what truly matters. Picture this: breaking free from the mental chains that keep you stuck and stepping into a space of renewed clarity and strength. Stoicism offers you the wisdom to manage your emotions with resilience and depth. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. These teachings will guide you to place your inner peace above all external circumstances. Are you ready to liberate yourself from the grip of emotional attachment and step into a path of personal evolution? If so, this video is made for you. We will walk you through 10 Stoic habits that can shift your entire approach to emotional detachment. Let's begin by asking a simple yet powerful question. What truly holds lasting value in our lives, if not the serenity of our minds? Join us on this journey toward a Stoic mindset that fosters freedom and emotional clarity. If you find this video meaningful and helpful, please hit the subscribe button and become part of our growing community. We also welcome your thoughts. Feel free to leave a comment below. If you're unsure of what to say, just write, "Emotional freedom starts now." Let's take this journey of emotional liberation together. The first principle is the power of detachment. Have you ever felt like your emotions were being manipulated, as if someone else had control over them? Have you noticed how much influence you've handed to others simply because of emotional bonds? This is where understanding the power of detachment begins. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start living in a way where your inner peace and happiness aren't ruled by what happens outside of you. Why is detachment so powerful? Think about the wisdom of Epictetus, who said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." Detachment is about taking back your personal power. It's recognizing that while you can't control what life throws at you, you can absolutely control how you respond. When we hold on too tightly to people or circumstances, we give them control over our emotional state. It's like handing over the remote control of your emotions to someone else, letting them flip through your moods as they wish. Their words, actions, or absence can govern your happiness, your sadness, even your major life decisions. Detachment is the act of reclaiming that remote, deciding for yourself what emotional channels you want to tune into. Visualize your emotions as a kite, with every string tied to something or someone. The more strings you're holding onto, or the tighter you grip one, the more you're at the mercy of shifting winds. Stoicism teaches us to loosen that grip, to recognize that while we can't direct the wind, we can choose which strings are worth holding. This doesn't make you unfeeling, it makes you stable and resilient. To begin practicing this, first identify the people or situations you are overly attached to. Then ask yourself, why? Are you seeking validation? Are you afraid of being alone? Do you fear loss or failure? By uncovering the root cause of your attachment, you start to loosen its hold. Next, invest time in activities that bring you personal joy and a sense of purpose. When you focus on what you can control, your actions, your thoughts, your growth, you become anchored in your own strength and inner values. As you cultivate detachment, you start to see life with fresh eyes. You realize that your worth doesn't depend on others or external outcomes. It's something intrinsic, unwavering. This understanding fuels a newfound confidence and clarity, helping you break free from the emotional chains of attachment. Remember Seneca's words, "He who is brave is free." Practicing detachment isn't about retreating from life. It's about engaging with it more fully, with calm awareness and a heart that is steady and strong. The second principle is understanding attachment. Have you ever asked yourself why we hold so tightly to certain people or situations, even when they bring us pain? What compels us to cling to things that clearly hurt us? The answer lies in understanding what attachment really is and how it operates. Attachment stems from the ego. As Epictetus wisely noted, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This captures the essence of attachment. It's fueled by desire and perceived need. When we form emotional attachments, we often do so to fill an inner void, to feel validated, secure, or significant, and we mistakenly look for these feelings in external sources. Think of a newborn child, radiating joy and free from the complexities of ego. As we grow, ego begins to dominate our thoughts and decisions, cluttering our lives with unnecessary attachments. Whether it's people, material things, or ideals, these attachments fog our judgment and keep us from living with clarity and love. Have you ever felt that your happiness depends on someone else's approval or presence? That's a sign of attachment rooted in ego. To break free, you first have to see these attachments clearly for what they are: ego-driven attempts to satisfy fear or insecurity. Ask yourself, why am I holding on to this person or outcome so tightly? What underlying fear or longing is behind it? When you begin to explore these questions honestly, you start to untangle yourself from the grip of attachment. Now imagine living from a place of love instead of ego. What if you could trust in life's flow and believe that what's meant for you will find its way? This shift in perspective is transformational. It allows you to recognize your own worth and strength regardless of who stays or goes in your life. As you view your desires through this lens, you'll realize how much unnecessary weight they carry and how light you feel without them. Believing in the abundance of life is essential. When you release your fear of losing something, life often gives you back more than what you let go of. Detachment doesn't mean caring less. It means understanding more. It's about staying aligned with your core self and choosing love over fear. This journey of detachment is deeply transformative. It's not about escaping your emotions, but about peeling away the ego's layers to reveal a soul rooted in love and peace. It's about moving forward with grace and openness, ready to receive life's gifts with a strong heart and unburdened spirit. When you prioritize your inner calm over the need for external approval, you unlock a life rich in freedom, clarity, and fulfillment. The third principle is recognizing the illusion of control. Have you ever believed that your happiness was tied to someone else's actions or opinions? Do you sometimes think that if you just try hard enough, you can shape the outcome of your relationships and emotions? This is a common trap, the illusion that we have control over what is, in reality, outside our hands. Letting go of this illusion is essential for emotional detachment and inner peace. Our ego plays a clever trick. It convinces us that we can steer outside events and manipulate how others see or treat us. But this illusion makes us emotionally dependent, constantly seeking reassurance and clinging to external validation. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This Stoic truth shifts the focus back to what truly matters, your own response. When we fall into the illusion of control, we begin to idolize others. We place them on pedestals, mistakenly thinking our self-worth hinges on their attention or approval. This distorted view of reality can lead us to feel inferior, like we're reaching for something just out of our grasp. But when we strip away that illusion, we realize everyone is just as human, just as vulnerable. No one holds the secret to your value or happiness. To break free, begin by acknowledging that much of what you think you can control, especially other people's behavior or feelings, isn't actually yours to command. This truth may feel uncomfortable at first, but it's also freeing. By accepting that you can't dictate the actions of others, you can finally turn your energy inward toward what you can shape, your mindset, your reactions, your growth. Instead of needing others to validate your worth, practice self-affirmation. Reflect on your strengths, your values, your uniqueness. Remind yourself regularly that your worth isn't defined by anyone else's approval. This mindset isn't arrogance, it's resilience. And it's exactly what Stoicism teaches, the strength to stand on your own inner foundation, no matter the chaos around you. It's essential to understand that your worth is not dependent on how others see you. This mindset reflects a powerful teaching from Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Embracing an abundance mindset is another transformative approach. Recognize that the universe is vast and overflowing with love, success, and happiness. There is enough for everyone. When we release the fear of losing a specific person or outcome, we open ourselves to a world full of new opportunities and meaningful experiences. In the context of relationships, this awareness allows us to love without clinging or desperation. We become capable of appreciating others deeply while holding on to our own self-worth and independence. It's important to remember that practicing emotional detachment does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. It's about understanding that you are whole and complete, even without someone else's presence in your life. By internalizing this Stoic perspective, you gain emotional strength that equips you to face life's unpredictability with grace and calm. Let go of the illusion that you can control everything and embrace the freeing truth. True power resides within your own mind. Have you ever found yourself holding on to a relationship or past experience so tightly that it causes pain, yet you're too afraid to let go? This is a common struggle, clinging out of fear, wondering what might happen if you release your grip. But what if letting go led to something far better? Let's explore how to bring detachment into real-life practice using Stoic philosophy as our guide. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom applies beautifully to our emotional lives. Are you ready to stop clinging to the past and create space for something new? Picture yourself holding onto a rope with all your strength, your hands aching, your grip trembling. You're terrified to let go because you don't know what awaits you. But the reality is that releasing the rope doesn't mean falling. It often means you're finally free to reach for something more fulfilling. I personally learned this lesson the hard way. I stayed in a comfortable relationship simply because it felt safe. I didn't realize I was closing the door to new and possibly greater happiness that was already seeking me out. How often have you done the same, holding on to familiarity while fearing the unknown? Another truth worth facing is that the fear of missing out, FOMO, is a trap. It's like watching everyone's highlight reel on social media and thinking you're somehow falling behind. But what we see online is curated, filtered, and rarely reflects real life. When I stopped obsessing over others' stories and started living my own, the grip of FOMO faded. Do you catch yourself comparing your life to others? It's time to break that cycle. You don't need to know every detail of someone else's journey to feel whole. In fact, your most meaningful moments are created when you're fully present in your own life. Chasing an illusion of happiness, often based on others' projected images, can make detachment seem impossible. You see their polished lives and worry that you're falling short. But remember, the grass looks greener from a distance. When you get closer, you'll notice it has its own share of brown spots. The illusion of perfection robs you of joy and keeps you on a treadmill, running toward a hologram that can never be caught. Emotional detachment isn't about giving up on happiness. It's about defining happiness on your own terms. Following the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your inner growth, is a way to reclaim your power. No past relationship, external opinion, or filtered image should determine your sense of self-worth or happiness. This awareness becomes your armor, enabling you to move forward with clarity and freedom, open to meaningful connections and new possibilities. Letting go is not the end. It's a courageous step toward the life you were always meant to live. Have you ever wondered why lasting happiness often feels just out of reach, always tied to other people or external events? What if true sustainable joy begins and ends with you, independent of any outside influence? Here, we explore how Stoic philosophy paves a path toward genuine happiness through emotional detachment. Ask yourself, where does real value come from? This question has the power to shift our focus away from unhealthy attachments and toward emotional liberation. As Epictetus wisely observed, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This profound insight invites us to seek fulfillment from within rather than chasing it in the external world. This perspective is especially helpful when we're struggling to let go of someone emotionally. It's not about distancing ourselves with bitterness or indifference. It's about recognizing that the most meaningful and enduring relationship we will ever have is the one we have with ourselves. True value doesn't depend on another person's approval. It comes from your character, your wisdom, and how you treat others. So often, we trap ourselves in the belief that our happiness hinges on another person's presence, that their validation lifts us and their absence diminishes us. But this mindset enslaves us, reducing our emotional power to the unpredictable tides of someone else's choices. It's like a bird believing it needs permission to fly, when in truth, the sky has always been wide open, waiting for it to soar. This is the freedom of self-reliance. It teaches us that our value remains constant, regardless of someone else's actions or opinions. Detachment, then, is not about pushing people away. It's about moving closer to your truest self. By investing in personal growth and striving to be your best self, you free yourself from the chains of neediness. Think of your life like a garden. You don't beg a single flower to bloom. You tend the soil, water the plants, and trust that what's meant to flourish will. In the same way, when you focus on self-improvement, you create a life that blooms with or without someone's presence. This kind of happiness is not only independent, but also deeply fulfilling. So how do we walk this path of emotional detachment? Begin with the knowledge that you are whole and worthy, with or without anyone else's approval. Your journey is about exploring the vastness of your own inner world. Learn to enjoy the freedom that comes from flying solo when necessary. Draw on Stoic wisdom. Focus on what is within your control. Your thoughts, your actions, your growth. This doesn't mean closing yourself off from love or connection. It means anchoring your emotions in the solid ground of your own being. Your self-worth is not a puzzle missing someone else's piece. It is a masterpiece already in progress, complete in itself, yet open to more beauty along the way. Do you often find yourself stuck in the past or anxious about the future? One of the most powerful tools for emotional detachment and inner peace is learning to embrace the present moment. Rooted deeply in Stoic teachings, this practice invites us to fully live in the now rather than getting lost in what has been or what might be. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply: confine yourself to the present. This simple yet profound advice holds the essence of Stoic wisdom. When we constantly relive past events, we open old wounds or cling to memories that no longer serve us. When we worry about the future, we often create unnecessary stress about things that haven't happened and might never occur. Both habits prevent us from experiencing the richness of the present. Practicing mindfulness is a powerful way to anchor ourselves in the now. Mindfulness means being fully aware of your current experience without judgment, whether you're eating, walking, or having a conversation. Pay attention to the small details: the taste of your food, the feeling of the earth beneath your feet, the tone in someone's voice. This focused awareness helps pull you out of past regrets or future anxieties. Engaging in mindful activities like meditation can enhance your presence. Even simple breathing exercises can redirect your attention to the current moment. Try dedicating a few minutes each day to these practices. Over time, they can significantly reduce mental noise and improve emotional clarity. Living in the present also means cultivating gratitude. Instead of fixating on what's missing, shift your focus to what's already here. Appreciate the small moments and simple joys. This change in perspective makes it easier to let go of emotional attachments that hold you back. When you embrace the present, you build emotional stability and mental clarity. You face life's challenges with a calm mind and an open heart, allowing you to experience each moment more fully and joyfully. Reframing your thoughts is another powerful practice for emotional detachment. It means learning to see your experiences through a different lens, changing how you perceive and interpret situations. Detachment is about reshaping how you perceive and interpret experiences, allowing you to break free from unhealthy thought patterns and emotional dependencies. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once reflected, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In other words, your emotional state and view of life are deeply influenced by the nature of your thoughts. To begin the process of detachment, start by identifying the negative thought patterns that keep you emotionally entangled. These could be beliefs such as, "I can't live without this person," "I'll never find someone else," or "My happiness depends entirely on them." Such thoughts often create a sense of helplessness and emotional dependence, reinforcing the very attachments you're trying to release. Recognizing these mental habits is the essential first step toward transforming them. Once you've brought these thoughts into awareness, the next step is to challenge their accuracy. Begin to question their truth by asking yourself, is this thought undeniably true? And what actual evidence do I have that supports this belief? More often than not, you'll discover that these ideas are exaggerated, distorted, or entirely untrue. This insight can begin to loosen their emotional grip and diminish their power over you. After recognizing and disputing these negative beliefs, it's crucial to replace them with thoughts that are more empowering or neutral. For instance, rather than saying, "I can't live without this person," affirm to yourself, "I am fully capable of finding joy and purpose on my own." Instead of, "I'll never meet someone else," try saying, "There are countless opportunities ahead for love and meaningful connection." These new thoughts should reflect a healthier and more balanced mindset, one that supports your emotional independence. To make these new ways of thinking stick, incorporate daily affirmations into your routine. Write down statements that affirm your strength, self-worth, and ability to thrive independently, and make it a habit to read them aloud each day. Over time, these affirmations can begin to reprogram your brain, gradually helping you develop a more optimistic and grounded mental framework. Alongside affirmations, mindfulness practices like meditation can significantly support your efforts in transforming your thoughts. Mindfulness allows you to observe your thought patterns without judgment, creating space to consciously shift them in healthier directions. Keep in mind that reframing your thinking isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process. The more consistently you challenge and reshape your beliefs, the more emotionally resilient you become. This inner shift builds not just detachment, but a deep sense of strength and emotional clarity, empowering you to move forward in life with greater confidence and peace. If you find it difficult to say no or struggle with setting boundaries, you're not alone. Yet setting healthy boundaries is a crucial part of developing emotional detachment. Boundaries are what safeguard your well-being and give you control over your emotional space. Start by identifying what behaviors you find acceptable and which ones you do not. Then clearly communicate these boundaries to others. When you respect your own limits, you affirm your self-worth and reduce the tendency to seek validation or happiness from others. Boundaries help you define where you end and someone else begins, creating emotional clarity and preventing unhealthy entanglements. For example, if someone's behavior is overwhelming or causes you stress, speak up calmly and assert your need for space or a change in the dynamic. This isn't about rejection, it's about protecting your mental and emotional health. Remember, boundaries are an act of self-respect. They communicate to others that your needs and well-being matter. Over time, consistently upholding your boundaries helps foster more respectful and balanced relationships. These relationships are not built on dependency, but on mutual understanding and personal freedom. Setting boundaries is a powerful step toward becoming emotionally independent. It ensures that your sense of peace and stability isn't tied to someone else's actions or opinions. As you create and maintain these emotional limits, you also cultivate a safer and more nurturing space for your own growth. This empowers you to prioritize your personal development and reinforces a stronger, more self-assured sense of identity. Think back. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself? Engaging in self-care is not just a luxury, it's a necessity for cultivating emotional detachment and building a strong, independent life. The Stoic philosopher Seneca emphasized the value of personal well-being, stating that a sound mind in a sound body is a simple yet complete definition of true happiness in this world. Self-care means making time for activities that nourish your body, mind, and spirit. Physical exercise, for example, not only boosts your health, but also elevates your mood through the release of endorphins. Practices like meditation and mindfulness help calm your mind, reduce stress, and promote emotional clarity and stability. In addition, making time for hobbies or passions, such as painting, gardening, reading, or playing an instrument, can bring genuine joy and satisfaction, reducing your reliance on others for emotional fulfillment. Surrounding yourself with supportive, uplifting people can further enhance your sense of belonging and emotional resilience. True self-care is about crafting a lifestyle that supports and sustains your well-being. By consistently nurturing yourself, you build a strong internal foundation that allows you to face life's challenges with confidence. This kind of strength enables you to emotionally detach from others, not out of bitterness or avoidance, but from a deep place of self-trust and assurance. Prioritizing self-care helps you build a fulfilling and autonomous life, where you can thrive emotionally, mentally, and physically. Have you ever noticed how focusing on what's missing in your life tends to increase your sense of emotional attachment to what you don't have? Practicing gratitude offers a powerful shift in perspective, helping you let go of unhealthy attachments and focus on what's already good in your life. When you regularly acknowledge and appreciate the positives around you, you begin to adopt a mindset rooted in abundance instead of lack. Gratitude reminds you of the value in your present experiences, which naturally lessens the emotional pull toward what's absent or lost. A simple way to start is by writing down 3 things each day that you're grateful for. These could be small but meaningful, like a kind gesture from a friend, a peaceful morning, or a warm meal. This practice helps redirect your focus from what's missing to what's nourishing and fulfilling. The philosopher Epicurus once said, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for." This timeless wisdom calls us to treasure what is already in our hands rather than yearning for what lies beyond reach. Developing a habit of gratitude not only improves your emotional well-being, but also acts as a buffer against the pain that often comes with detachment. As you consistently practice gratitude, you'll find it easier to release what no longer serves you and embrace a life of greater peace, contentment, and emotional freedom.